And hello, welcome to FSP episode, let me see what she wrote, 21. Yeah, this is episode 21. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. We're going to have some interesting discussions today. We got some more news regarding PlayStation Plus. Finally got kind of their launch slate of games. We got another announcement regarding Ubisoft and Ubisoft Plus, Ubisoft Classic games as well. We also have a lot of talk about Xbox and what's to be expected in the next month or so, or maybe in a month, roughly, regarding their showcase and what do they got in the pipeline to surprise fans and all that kind of stuff. So we're looking forward to having a lot of fun. I want to say thanks to the chat. See some awesome people here nice and early. What's up, Dark Zone, Frizzle, John Wolf. First in my heart, lovely wife, Caitlin. What's up, baby? Always there. And we also have a panel that is also near and dear to my heart. These amazing people that I always hear coming through for us on the channel. Start with 3-Bit because he just fixed his lights. I can see it's not. He doesn't have the sun shining on him in the corner of his room now. So he was messing with his camera a second ago. What's up, 3-Bit? How's it going, dude?
Hey, it's pretty good. A lot of stuff has been happening this week in terms of work, and also we've all been on Twitter, so we've seen the craziness going on. But yeah, I'm pretty good. I'm just working. I'm excited to get some food later after the show. And
what are you gonna eat?
I want some tacos. So I'm gonna get some tacos.
You're like me. Like Kate asked me what I want to eat. Like, and every day it's like, I don't know. I'm feeling either burgers or tacos. It's like burgers or tacos. I'm like, I'm good with either one of those.
Burgers, tacos.
Yeah.
Some days it's burgers, some days it's tacos.
Yeah. Right.
You can get some bootleg tacos or just like good tacos.
There's only legit tacos.
Yeah.
Okay.
But burgers could be bootleg.
Do you do like hard shell or soft shell tacos?
Mostly soft.
So do you like corn or flour tortilla?
Corn.
Okay. So like steak or
it
chicken?
Depends though.
Or ground beef.
For tacos, ground beef.
Okay, so you do a corn tortilla with ground beef.
Ground beef
with ground beef. Well, I've never heard of that. I mean,
not all the time. Not all the time.
That's cool. All right.
Yeah, it depends. But usually it'll be soft with ground beef at Taco Bell. And then with
Taco Bell. I thought you said you only do real tacos.
Well, no, not this case. But also with what's that blue icy thing called from Taco Bell?
The Mountain Dew slush thing.
Baja Blast.
Yeah,
Baja Blast.
The Baja Blast. You gotta have a Baja Blast with your tacos.
So I love how you only go real for tacos and you say not a Taco Bell. That's fantastic. So now I understand. Now, like, I don't think Taco Bell has a soft corn tortilla. I think they only have
No, I was thinking about something else when you said that.
Oh, okay. All right.
Then, like, when we talked about, like, the soft, I thought of Taco Bell.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Right on. Hey, that's fair enough.
Clarify that. Yeah.
Fair enough. Jasper, what's up, man? What do you like on your tacos?
I do a hard shell taco.
You do a hard shell taco?
Meat.
Yeah, beef, chicken, steak, whatever. Any meat, really. Just like hard shell tacos. That's what I go for. And
how else are you doing, man?
I've been playing Division. I changed up my build. Can't wait to test it out with a group of people when we hop back on that game.
Now, I have to say, because I just did a Heartbreaker build, if you are like winning in damage in these matches and I failed, then I have to just seriously start questioning my ability to play this game. Because I did that and I was still last in damage. Now, I didn't like take the time and like really invest in going to get all the pieces and doing enough recalibration, But
I will say I don't have any like really. I only have like 2 pieces with like some god rolls on it. So like I'm still like it's not like high stats, like god stats. It's like medium to high on my gear pieces. I need to find god tier rolls, but
right. Okay. Well, we'll see. What assault rifle are you planning on using?
I think it's the new AK, it's the King Breaker or something like that.
Yeah. I keep getting that thing.
Yeah.
Right on. Cool. And Fuzzy Belvedere, the veteran of that game in the group, what kind of tacos do you go for, Fuzzy?
I'm more of a fan of like the hard shell corn,
Okay.
like the corn chip ones. Although if we're talking Taco Bell, I really like that Doritos shell that they have sometimes. But there's just so many different tacos. But when we're making tacos at home type of deal, it's usually like the pre-made kits with either the hard shell or sometimes the soft shell ones. But always
Yeah, it
ground
depends, right?
beef.
Depends.
If we're going outside of the house, as far as like something like a Chipotle or some place like that, or Joe's. I don't know if they have Joe's out your guys' way. Think of Subway, but for tacos, but much better than like Subway standards.
Well, like Chipotle almost, right? Like
yeah, it's like Chipotle, but you have a lot more variety of stuff you can mix in there. I usually go with like the steak and instead of the ground beef at that point. But.
Right on, dude. I don't know how we got on this taco train, but my fault. But what have you been doing? I know you've been playing the Division.
Oh yeah, definitely been playing the Division 2. Popped in on Insurgency Sandstorm recently because they had an update as well. They got like a new prison map and stuff, which is wow. It's intense as far as enemy locations and just getting used to the map layout. But Division, loving it. I just got to get my poison build to. I got to get one more piece where I can roll on some armor or something. Like right now, I can take out 5 with one shot. It's just a matter of if I get hit, I'm like almost like 2 shots, I'm down. So I definitely need to get some more armor on that build. But other than that, still playing GT7. Looking forward to when Motorsport comes out. But man, oh man, I think now I'm gonna just avoid Twitter whenever something different happens in news. But
Yeah, if there's big bad news, then that's like everybody needs to run away, like, and just like stay off the app for like 2 days. I think. Shout out to John TJ, hit us with a $2 super chat. He says, "Hi guys, it's crazy on Twitter. It's been absolutely crazy seeing a lot of people that I've known for a little while now. Start to kind of go at it, a little bit. It's kind of a little awkward, but I don't want to get too much into that. I mean, there's no picking sides with this thing. It's more of like, hey, let's just all
either take my side or you're against me, Mav.
That's like let's all just agree that like you are allowed to have a different opinion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's not allowed.
I don't know, man. It's like I get the discourse and debate, but when stuff gets personal, I don't like that. But it is what it is. Just try and stay out of it as much as possible. And even though we all have our own opinions about the matters that happened last week, 3-Bit was, like I said, very disappointed. I was disappointed. I think Pong was disappointed. Jasper was like, yeah, okay. Fuzzy, I think, has been pretty vocal as well. He was kind of disappointed. Not just like with the delay. I think the delay is like we're all on the same page. It's like a good thing, right?
Yeah.
It's just the fact of like all the eggs being in the one basket, and we're all like, okay, another year of kind of this. Now, last 6 months ended up being really strong, right?
Yeah, I just don't think a game's is first party. I just think a game's is games and play what I want.
Right, and that's fair. And I like, and when we say that's like disappointed, it's not like, oh no, you need to fire like Xbox needs blah. It's more about like 2020 had the similar issue, and 2021 we had a long wait, and then we've finally got some games, and there's like a whole nother year, like, so it's kind of like we don't know what's coming, and I'm more in the wait and see mindset, right? But for me, it was always like, hey, there's like maybe some different decisions that could have been made to ensure that these scenarios don't happen. Now the odds have been stacked against Xbox with this, right? They did not foresee having to delay these games. They also didn't know that Ukraine was going to get invaded by Russia, right? And Stalker 2, get pushed back as well. I mean, there's a lot of different scenarios that play into this, and we also don't know what else they have in store So we believe that there's still a possibility that there's games coming in 2022. The frustration comes in when it's like the promotion has always been about for 2022, like those 2 games, right? And it's like that we're resting the hopes on those 2 games for the whole entire year, and then as far as first party goes, obviously there's lots of other stuff to play. But then when they got pushed back, it was like, oh, okay, well, that's interesting because currently there's no first party games announced for 2022 that are like big titles, right? So it kind of just put everybody like it's not really necessarily okay for that to happen. It is what it is, but maybe if they had done more things in the past to prepare a better pipeline until their studios get ramped up, even with more third-party dev support, maybe with more third-party projects, like Sony got Ghostwire Tokyo, they got Deathloop exclusivity because they were doing deals, right? Doing third-party deals, so they got to play those games
they
on
had
PlayStation,
that for this year.
right?
It's just like unforeseen circumstances happened and just canceled everything that they
Yeah.
had planned. So it's like they
Yeah.
can't really do anything about that.
No, it's not like fire Phil
Yeah.
Spencer. He's to blame. It's just
No.
it's just like, like there's certain sort of criticism that can be applied to Xbox when the scenario happens. But then some people take it, it's like you're not allowed because
Been interesting.
yeah.
Like the day after we've been saying this, we've sort of seen this sort of term. Like we had our critiques for what Xbox should do and sort of
Yeah.
left it at that. But people are taking this sort of pitchfork sort of approach to it. And I do think it's fair to criticize a platform. Like, don't they're $1 trillion, $1 billion companies, right? And they for the most part say what you is generally on your mind, and rather than just
Have to
I don't know,
sugarcoat everything.
fanboy,
Yeah.
sugarcoat everything. But at the same time, um don't attack each other. It should be like left unsaid that you shouldn't actually go and attack these devs and stuff like that. And I've seen like Aaron Greenberg. I just been tracking some of what they've been saying afterwards, and it seems like Aaron Greenberg is liking a lot of posts that deal with like Colt, for example, posting like, hey, we have a delay because of the pandemic, and there's these teams can't really do much because of what's going on. And I get that. We talked about that that being a thing, right? We talked about the possibly the pandemic and other things. It's just a combination of unfortunate events for Xbox. Like it's we recognize those things are bad, and we recognize those things has happened, but at the same time, it doesn't change the fact that it's disappointing. But also, I want to make sure I make clear that people are taking this really far,
Very far. Yeah.
and it's basically becoming very toxic, and that's where I already stepped away from this. I said my piece.
Yeah.
I said what I thought Xbox should do. I was disappointed, and I'm moving on. I'm playing games.
Yeah, it's not a huge
I'm
deal.
doing
It's
other
video
things.
games, right? At the end of the day, like
Yeah.
this is
At the
a
end of the day,
situation
it's video games.
where like kind of everybody's right, but people are just can't still see that the other side has like a valid point, right? Like, okay, ultimately, yeah, it's not a big deal. Xbox has a lot of things coming. We already know all the games that are in development. We've talked about them so much. It's not like they've abandoned the platform. It's not like these games are canceled. All this stuff, right? And it's not like they had necessarily. It's not like we want them to release a game that's unfinished either. You know what I mean? So all of those scenarios, yes, people are 100% correct on that. And then the people that are like, Xbox needs to do better and not allow a whole year go through without first party releases. Also correct. You know what I mean? So the fact
But I
that
see people like saying like that Xbox is trash and PS
Well, that's
Plus is a
just
better deal now,
people
and
like trolling and stuff.
PS Plus. Let's get
that
something
stuff's
straight.
like console war
I
garbage.
I know, and that's where it's heading, and unfortunately, I had a feeling it would head in this direction, because anytime you criticize a platform, whether it be Sony or Xbox, it's like it gets in this weird area. Like, well, are you Team Xbox or are you Team PlayStation?
Right.
Because I
Yeah,
see
there's
you
that doesn't
critique.
exist in my head. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think most of us on this panel, it doesn't really exist in our heads. Like we have a preferred platform, but I feel like the reason why FSP exists is we're pretty fair for the most part, and what is obvious in our heads, but to other people, it gets in this weird sort of fanboy mentality where you can't criticize something without being like, oh, you criticize Xbox, that must mean you're a fan of PlayStation, or if oh, you criticize,
Yeah.
it's
Or if you
weird,
criticize
but
Xbox, immediately goes to, well, PlayStation did this. It's like it doesn't matter what like so for that perspective, we gotta stop pretending like everybody can afford to own all platforms, right? So it's like if you from a consumer perspective, like what they're trying to do is bring somebody into that ecosystem. And for an ecosystem, I agree, it's always better if you can own all, but that's not necessarily that everybody can, right? So if you have chosen Xbox to be your platform, and you're like, okay, that's what I'm going to invest in because with my one console, I'm getting this generation, and with all these promise of games, and then you have a whole year go by, right, with no big first party releases, people can be like, well, that's not what was we were expected these games, we expected these games with all this stuff. So people like there's a reason for the criticism, right? It's not just
Yeah,
like
but I mean, a lot of people don't even know what first party is. Like they just play Call of Duty, so it's like
that's true. That's true as well, right? That's a very good point. So ultimately, like Xbox is going way above and beyond, and for value in the consumer, and we're gonna see all these things pay off massive amounts. And like I don't, so there's not like there can't be like criticism against like what Xbox is doing is wrong, and I think a lot of people are taking some of that way too far, and like for major doomsday scenarios, right? But then also there's others that when people are just criticizing with like a normal like, hey, like this is like kind of unacceptable to have a whole year, then they're like, you're not allowed to say that, you know, you're not
yeah,
allowed.
it's sort of like
Everything Xbox
downs.
has done for you, go buy Ratchet and Clank for $70 instead, you asshole. And it's like,
Ripped Apart is on sale for 40. So
and it's like, what?
It kind of downs the valid criticism. Like there comes a point. I think people don't realize that there comes a point where criticism starts to be ignored when it turns into like this sort of toxic thing.
Yeah, 100%.
Like
Yeah.
at some point, these teams are not going to listen to you, and it's really when you get to a point where you can say like, "Hey, Xbox, you should work on this." That's like valid. But if you're pretty much like Xbox, if you don't work on this, I'm going to burn your house down and yada yada yada.
Yeah.
Like that's when it gets to a point where like, okay, and anything you say after that is not actually being heard. You're really just ranting at that point. And I think something we try to do is have valid criticism of something, of how you can make a platform improve, while also being honest with yourself in trying to improve the brand. Because if you don't say anything, then it's just going to stay stagnant. But if you actually are trying to you say like, hey, maybe Xbox, you can do this, you can do that. I feel like out of all the brands, like we could be very like very negative about Xbox recently, but something Xbox has done compared to the other platforms is somewhat listened to people, right? PlayStation, they just disappear. Nintendo, who knows where the
they don't even
representatives are.
acknowledge people.
Yeah.
We
Right.
have people
So something,
they're not just dollars that play our systems, they're not just money.
like who represents Nintendo Twitter? Who knows, right? So I think it's fair to say that at least with Xbox, you have those Aaron Greenbergs in there that are looking at tweets and acknowledging what's going on, and at least makes posts about it. That to me is a step in the right direction out of $1 trillion company that doesn't need to do stuff like that. So I mean,
it's just a middle ground. People can agree to disagree, right? And two, people can also see that everybody's actually probably somewhat right in their arguments, because everybody feels strongly about a defense of the topic, and there doesn't have to be like a defense of anything, because if we know the facts are what they are right now, it's like, okay, let's deal with this. A lot of people were upset and making their own content about it because everybody has their own shows, right? Everybody's got their own shows. They want to have their take out there. And then a lot of people get sick of hearing it over and over again for like 3 or 4 days, right? When it's a huge announcement like this, it's going to be talked about on every show for like a week at least, right? And so people are like, oh, people stop whining. We're getting so much value. How can you possibly still be whining? Well, then stop. If you don't like at the time like to hear about the criticism after a huge announcement like that, then you don't have to listen. You don't have to listen to it. But if you tune into a gaming show or following people that talk about gaming and are relevant in this discussion, that you're going to hear about something as massive about that. You're going to hear lots of varying opinions. So you can mute the subject. You can take a step away without getting invested into it and feel like you're having to fight some kind of war for your own personal take on the matter.
Yeah, because it feels like after a point where people are just proving their stance, they're just like, I'm on.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm proving that I'm not just an Xbox fanboy, and I'm just gonna say,
right.
Like
people are reaching the same solution, but they just have different mentalities of how they get there.
100%. And a lot of people criticizing are not like anti-Xbox. They want Xbox to succeed, and they're heavily invested in the brand, and they love the brand, and they're excited for everything to come. It's just a simple criticism. And now a lot of people that are saying everything's fine, what's the big deal? All those people are correct too, because ultimately it's not a big deal. And if you're invested in the ecosystem, there's so much stuff to come, and there's so much stuff to play, and they're still winning in value, in my opinion, that ultimately it's really not a big deal. But it still like affects people when they're so excited for something like that, and then it gets pushed back, and then you're left with like, well, now what do we got? So it's gonna, people are passionate, this stuff's gonna come up. We got another $2 super chat. It says, why so serious? From Why So Serious. I appreciate you, Why So Serious. It says, what's up, Mav and panel? What's up, dude? How's it going?
Hello.
Just thinking about eating tacos later with 3-bit. Right?
Yeah. Fuzzy, I saw you kind of like vocal on Twitter too about it. I mean, like I've seen like you in some of the comments and stuff on some of the threads, and it's like I know you've been like critical also, but then like not like, oh, this is like doomsday scenario situation either. No. It's like the sky, like as Shizno says, the sky is not falling. You know what I mean? It's like everything's good.
For me, disappointment, yes. The only things I've put like, and I know some people were like, well, have a solution. Well, my solution is at this point, unless they have something that's like super secret, go out, get a AAA, have it come day and date in Game Pass. I mean, you do that with a couple of games that are, out there that may not have like a marketing deal just yet, or if they do have a marketing deal, see if there's a way without voiding the contract to put it in Game Pass. Do something along those lines. That to me would. It's not going to be a like for like type of deal, but at least it shows that they're making the effort. Yes, they're making the effort with Game Pass as it is currently, but if you're going to have that kind of gapping, slide something in there that's going to at least be like a wow moment or surprise that people may not be expecting, and that's basically all we ask, and then just try to.
Yeah, you're not going to see those results. You're not going to see those results like this week. Like it's going to take time, and people just need to just give it a minute. Like let Xbox breathe. Let them make their decision.
Oh yeah, they got to be upset.
You can't.
They have to have made that announcement. Like they had to have been like, man, oh god, do we have to send this tweet? Do we have to send this message out? Like, please no. Like, what's going to happen?
Gamers have such a short attention span.
Yeah, when E3 comes around next month, no one's even going to remember.
That's 100% true.
I hope so. Like, I think they had a killer show last year. It was one of the best E3s I've ever seen. Like that's just my opinion. Like I think they had one of the best shows they could have possibly had in that time frame. And I have a feeling there's a lot more surprises this time around. So a lot of what people are feeling about Xbox, they're probably going to flip flop as soon as they see that you're like, look, this is Xbox. This is what we've been waiting for all along. It doesn't change the fact that like they do need to shift some things around to make sure we have a steady flow of games. And I feel like that problem is going away. It just sucks that we have to say again, wait for 2023, wait for next E3, because that's pretty much a meme at this point. And I think we reiterated that in a couple of shows by now. But I think this time it's gonna happen. Wait for E3. I think June is gonna be a cool showcase. And people should be positive now. We've gone through the crappiness. I think Xbox has heard for the most part. So let's just wait and see. Let's play some games and hope for the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plenty of surprises to come. I agree. I mean, I think that last year's show was from Xbox was probably the best E3 like showcase type show I've ever seen. Yeah, I've been watching.
You see Connectimals?
I did. They were very cute, but not up my alley 100%. Now going back to like even the old days. I mean, I've been watching these showcases since they existed, pretty much. Like, and anyway, since YouTube streaming, I used to watch like the game awards on TV when it was on Spike. You know what I mean? Like E3 shows were always like something I would tune into, and even when it had to buffer the dang videos, like and pause them and let them like.
Used to watch X Play like 24-hour coverage of E3 events.
Oh, I used G4 TV. Yeah. It was always on the TV. Like I mean, back in the day, like that was a huge thing. And a lot of my friends, they didn't really follow gaming news like that. So I was like, hey, did y'all see E3? They're like, what's that? And I'm like, oh my God, all this is coming. Like it's insane. And this is like back in the days of like when Xbox was first announced, even before that. And this was honestly the best like lineup, but of like just well presented showcase of games I had ever seen last year. And the thing is like you guys say, we're in store for even better, right? So there's no like for me again the whole wait for thing has been. It's almost you feel so stupid saying it because like things keep getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back.
Like I feel bad for you saying like wait till like
but
even saying next year.
You keep forgetting the stuff that does come out. Like stuff comes out, we play it, and then we just wait for the next year to see what else comes out, and we wait for that. Yeah. Like that's why it's always the thing of wait for it because we get stuff and then we got to wait for more stuff.
Right.
I know, but the whole point of with Xbox's side is that they've been doing Halo Gears and Forza for so long, and that. We've been like Phil always says, like wait for E3. That's gonna be the time we see all these amazing announcements. Which, to be fair, we do see amazing announcements and things like that. But a lot of the things shown and presented has not been coming out. So it's weird. I feel weird criticizing it.
But that stuff still exists, right? It's not like it's just like isn't being made because it hasn't been.
Yeah, it's not like
yet, right.
These games are just like gone or just like
I thought we were gonna get Avowed or we were gonna get these games, but we didn't. So now what else are you gonna make? They're gone now. We didn't come out. So what else what's gonna happen? Like did y'all fire the staff? Did y'all cancel it and not tell anybody? Is this Scalebound all over again? Like, oh, come on. No, it's not like
Minecraft. It's not like these games aren't actually coming out. I think we all agree they're coming out. I think it's just it's hard for us to criticize it because of the rate. I guess it's supposed to come out, and we've been waiting. We've been saying the same thing for so long, since 2018, and it's hard to keep saying.
It's a patience thing, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, you're asking for more patience. Okay, I get it, right? Like, my God, it's like I'm just trying to play these damn games that I want to play, and you keep asking me to be patient, but I can do it. It's okay. We're gonna be okay. Why so serious? Just hit us with a $5 super chat. Thanks. Why so serious again? He says gamers have short-term memory. They'll announce at the showcase to make up for the delay. I think that regardless, they probably are going to have some amazing stuff at the showcase. But yeah, they're going to be fine, and they're going to have some stuff that is going to definitely take people's minds. Well, people don't even remember 2013. People don't remember the 360 generation, really, like that Xbox was leading that generation for the majority of it, like heavily in the US and everything. And like, people do have very short-term memories. It's like when this whole situation with DRM happened, like the whole thing that came up a couple weeks ago, it was like almost like a reverse almost like time traveling back to 2013, and everybody's starting to try and use that argument again just to like critique Xbox when it's not. They weren't even getting to the root of what the actual problem was, you know. But that hasn't even been really hardly ever talked about since then because people had short-term memories. It took like some little situation
because
like
the
that.
Starfield delay came out and they're like, oh well, DRM's gone now. Let's talk about Starfield.
Yeah, exactly. Now nobody talks about that again either.
Move on to the next thing.
Except for like one person in comments, like will randomly
Like
bring
I
it
haven't
up,
seen
you know?
a single space or topic talk about like some of the stuff Jim Ryan has been saying. Or yeah, I mean, we're not gonna get into that because
Ooh,
that's pretty
yeah.
crazy. But I think like people do have short attention spans, and whatever the next big thing is, you know, will be that. Unfortunately, this is a pretty big thing for Xbox to handle right now, and it's unfortunate for their teams and stuff.
Triumphant Design in the chat, he makes a good point too, because this is something I said on I think I said on Ultimate as well. Like this delay of Starfield and Redfall is not mismanagement like has been criticized from Phil Spencer and stuff like or anything like that, because like this was a Bethesda thing, right? And those games have been being made by Bethesda for a while and Arcane well before the acquisition even happened. So like it's they have their own, they're being left alone. They got their own in-house development processes. They got their own way of doing things and stuff. And you know, this came as like Bethesda coming to them, being like, "Hey, look, we're not good to go on this yet, Phil. Sorry, but we're gonna have to deliver this message." You know what I mean? And it's it does suck because it becomes a reflection then on Xbox now because Xbox owns Bethesda, and it rightfully so because I mean over time that's going to be one entity. People are not going to see them as separate, right? But like it's fair, it's more fair criticism like games that get kicked off like in a year or two that come out way later as opposed to like something that's been in development for since 2016.
Yeah,
right?
and it's something we talked about on Ultimate with Pong. Like, at what point with the studios is Xbox being too hands off? Is it possible? Maybe, because you have like with Bethesda's case, yeah, they bought them a year ago. But then you look at the lineup of all the other studios they have, like, okay, where are some of these games from some of these studios I forgot about? Collision. Now these questions might be answered at the showcase, so that's kind of
it's
why we
people
need to
looking
see
for blame, but I don't know if there's a place to put blame yet. Like,
Yeah, that's what it is.
that we know of,
and that's where I think a lot of people get really defensive on the criticism is when they go after Xbox management because they've done so much, right? For the gamers and for putting this whole Game Pass thing together and for going out and getting all these acquisitions and getting all these games kicked off and then doing all this stuff and then to go and criticize them because of something that was kind of out of their control. That's where some of the people are starting to get real defensive about it. And that's why I'm not criticizing them for that. What I can criticize Xbox on for is some of the decisions that have been made in the past that
not
have led
diversifying their catalog to
exactly not having enough of a I don't want to say backup plan, but like something that is more, you got maybe more third-party deals from there, more like exclusive deals for here, and they got away from timed exclusives, which I think ultimately is the right decision. Instead, they're just buying publishers, right? Instead of making those deals. However, when you see like other game companies have these like exclusive timed exclusives from like big games on their platform, right? That was something that was utilized to help supplement the release schedule on those platforms, right? And it became something that's less of like, oh, where's all the games? Because if you had like, let's say, Deathloop had come out and it was exclusive, right, on Xbox last year or whatever, or let's say Ghostwire Tokyo had come out this year and it was exclusive, it would have been like, okay, that's like, it still feels the same almost as first party. Now, long term, like I agree with Phil. I don't like that for the industry period, but it is a business, you know. And there's a little cutthroat mentality at times you got to have there. And if you're not doing those deals, then somebody else is still, and it's taking away games from your platform and adding them to others, right? So that's where the mentality of that came from. And I'm just saying, like, that's the only criticism I can make is just be a little more cutthroat with it comes to making some of those deals with the publishers to get more content on the platform, at least until your first party pipeline catches up.
Yeah, they just bailed on their buying exclusive rights for a little too early.
Yeah, a couple like 2
another
years
day.
too early. You know, the after
Yeah.
Tomb Raider deal didn't go 100% like they liked or whatever. You know, Square Enix, we weren't happy with the sales. You know, it's
Yeah, a
like,
lot of their time, I mean, with Bethesda at least. Well, no, that's not true. I mean, they developed a lot of games for PlayStation, if you really think about it.
yeah, they made Ghostwire
And
Tokyo and Deathloop.
like Psychonauts was technically on PlayStation. You had
Wasteland 3.
Deathloop.
We had Outer
Wasteland 3.
Worlds too, but all those games
Yeah.
were also multi-plat, right? The only ones that were exclusive were, I think, Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo.
There's all the Bethesda VR games like Fallout VR, Doom VR, all that stuff too. But
yeah.
Okay. So
ultimately,
and I understand contracts and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it goes in, like, if you really want to go in depth with like what has happened with all their studios, you could go into it, right? You could say like, okay, Double Fine, they were technically in contract to release the games on PlayStation because of the Kickstarter that they promised for Psychonauts 2. And then you could do Xbox Bethesda. A lot of those games, like with Deathloop, they said they were going to already release it. They had some deals with PlayStation, some marketing rights and stuff like that. So that's the case there. But again, I don't know. It leads to this problem where I think what Mav is saying, like maybe they should have been more cutthroat in some of those deals. I'm sure they could have easily gotten out of those deals. I don't know. I don't.
Or been more ahead of time, not giving up on those deals.
I think the problem is
Right.
that they were switching over to making those Game Pass deals. So like they just lost communication there for a short time, and that's kind of like we're seeing that mid gap right now.
Phil Spencer came out and said like, I'm not a fan of timed exclusives, right?
Yeah.
And that was like right after, around the same time that Tomb Raider came out, the last Tomb Raider for like Xbox exclusivity.
2018?
But I think that was deals were probably put together because they had almost no studios at that point. You know what I mean? And they were doing more deals and
something.
You know, they needed something, and that was kind of from the era right before he really took head of Xbox. And ever since then, you know, that's what early criticisms were like, Nice Guy Phil, you know, all those kind of things, right? And then now, you know, Nice Guy Phil went away. I mean, obviously he started dropping the bag on publishers and
now,
you know,
bankroll Phil.
yeah, bankroll Phil, and you know, we got all these growth of studios, all these games being developed, and all these new projects, all these hirings. You know, big time people coming to Xbox and working on the games. But then, you know, because they had still made some of those decisions at the time, you know, like we're still feeling the effects of that era, right? We're still feeling the effects of like the 2016, you know, at time like 2016, 2017, 2015. And, you know, because a lot of the games that they had even started development around then still don't have those, like Everwild, you know. Fable rumors started around 2017, 2018, I think, right? So there's been kind of like a lot of like, where's all the games? Where's all the games? And then, you know, I think that's where a lot of the frustration for people comes out on. But then if you just take a step back and look at everything that is coming, it's like, can we really like, we can be like disappointed in this year so far until we find out more in June. But like, can we really be like disappointed like when they're doing so much? You know, like we're getting the value proposition is absolutely insane. They've still got to see the games. You know, they still got to happen.
Yeah, I think people down are like, because of this announcement, I think people are kind of have twisted the vision for what has happened this past few years with Game Pass. I don't think what happened with Starfield or Redfall has decreased
we
what
had
is already in Game Pass
last year. The last 6 months of last year, we had a game every month.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah. I think Game Pass is still an amazing deal. I do think we need, like, to criticize it respectfully, I do think they do need more first party studio titles in there for sure. But what's in Game Pass is still the best deal in gaming. Like, you could criticize it, and maybe that's just my opinion, but I still think what's in Game Pass, you even have PlayStation games in, like, PlayStation 2, like MLB The Show is in Game Pass, and then on PlayStation you have to pay $70 for it, right?
Yep.
So I think people need to, like, go into their brains a little bit and see it's still a good deal, but we want a little bit more from it based on the promises that Phil has said.
Yeah,
like you could be, you need to be a little bit fair. Like, I think Game Pass is still an amazing deal. PS Plus is not much compared to Game Pass. It is really good, right? But Game Pass still has a lot of cool features and games in it that is not much compares to it on the market. But I do think they need to definitely amp up their first parties, and I think that problem will go away after 2023. I just don't want to keep saying wait next year to E3, so hopefully I don't have to say that next year. I'm gonna put my mini flag in the ground, and hopefully next year, starting with Xbox, we could get a steady flow of first party games. I know they're gonna make amazing third party deals, and I'm sure with the June showcase, that Phil and the team are planning on doing some crazy things. I'm sure there's going to be announcements where they are like, "Oh yeah, and you could play this game right now." You know, I have a feeling some of those are going to happen in the showcase, right? And we're all going to be hyped and psyched to watch
there's also Game Pass deals that we know are happening that still have that same effect, even if they're not necessarily AAA. You know, some you guys like Plague Tale Requiem is coming, and some other things.
Right.
If they're not delayed as well, who knows? But Plague Tale thing is slated for June.
Yeah, it's like right after E3 or whatever.
So there's still a lot to be excited for. I think I agree with you guys that there's going to be a lot of there's going to be some surprises. I'm still holding out hope for Forza Motorsport, as are you, Fuzzy.
Yes,
this year.
Definitely.
And
like, it was a big surprise with Forza Horizon 5 last year. I know Jez and Jeff Grubb had hinted at something.
Oh, I called that. Fuzzy, come on, you should have been tuned into Fun Speculation. I was saying Forza Horizon 5 is coming out this year. I was calling that in January of last year.
But yeah, it's one of those things where I'm pretty sure Motorsport will be the deal for this year, and I have a gut feeling we're gonna see another project, one of those, you know, that has just a project name that we haven't either seen or heard from in a while, that will more than likely either be a shadow drop or something before the end of the year. So I'm looking forward to those.
Yeah, we'll see. Like, maybe they got some surprises. There's some projects that they could announce that maybe were further along than we even known. I mean, like you said, Fuzzy, like, we didn't know about Forza Horizon 5 until E3 last year. I mean, they had not even talked about it or whatever, you know. So that was a surprise, and then after that we got game update, development updates on it and stuff like that.
My only concern with that is we haven't had a single Forza Horizon 5 DLC, so I'm thinking they may push Motorsports back and give us a DLC.
Well, I think we're going to get both.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get both, because I think that Playground team, maybe, I don't know if it's smaller than they would usually have, because maybe they shifted some of the
people to
Fable. Possibly. I'm not sure, but for some reason that pipeline of content for Forza Horizon is either bigger than we're anticipating, and it's a bigger expansion, or like, you know, there's some kind of other things they were doing, right? But I think that what I would expect, like, is a Forza Horizon expansion this year, right? But I would also, with my original, I have to go back to my original thoughts and when I originally made these predictions a couple years ago. And that was that Forza Motorsport was going to follow Forza Horizon. Then they were going to alternate. Remember, because like beforehand, it was like Forza Motorsport, Forza Horizon, Forza Motorsport, Forza Horizon. And then we didn't get Forza Motorsport for like a while. And then I remember having a debate with somebody actually on a show, and I was like, no, like, and they were like, no, there's no way Forza Horizon is coming before Motorsport. I was like, yes, it is. Like, because they have like made this Forza Motorsport thing in the promos and in the marketing as this big like kind of reboot, right? And it had been so long, it felt like the time was right to do like Horizon and then launch Motorsport more when it's ready as like the true next gen type experience, right? But
Yeah,
I
I
was
could
not
see 'em
expecting
maybe
Horizon to look as good as it did. That's what shocked
like
me, right?
I could see them doing this if like maybe the DLC comes out in like July, but like if they push the DLC back to the fall, like that's when Motorsports comes out. I feel like they would be taking like their market away because a lot of the casuals just go back to Horizon.
See, what
They
I'm
won't buy the
thinking
new
is
one.
like maybe the Forza Horizon DLC in like August or so, and then Motorsport actually drop in like November, right? Because I think Horizon actually dropped pretty late last year. Uh,
November like
yeah,
5th.
which is
Yeah.
very late for a Forza game. Any Forza game, that's very late for a Forza game. So if Motorsport, I think Motorsport would have been intended to release this year. I don't think it. If it doesn't make it, it's because internally it was delayed without us knowing about it, right? But I think with everything going on, right, with everything that's happened, they have to be talking to Turn 10 and be like, okay, this is going to be potentially games as service type game anyway. We're releasing content and stages for this game. We're going to be coming out with extra content down the line. This is a game that everybody's going to get in Game Pass, like because it's a tracks and cars. Like, what do you have done? Is it complete? Like, do you have enough to complete to ship a full product and us support it over time, even if it wasn't necessarily like as many tracks as they originally had planned, right? Like, what if they could go ahead and like ship that this holiday, right? Because I feel like if they don't have like a AAA, I know it's Motorsport's a little bit more niche because it's like more for sim racing fans, but it's still to me a AAA game, right? Especially
Yeah.
Gran Turismo
Yeah,
got
I
so much
just
hype for PlayStation, you know, like I feel like you need that potentially.
yeah, I'm just saying they can't like put the Forza Horizon DLC like and then a week later drop Motorsport because everyone's just going to play the Horizon DLC because that's the casual one, you know?
Right. I think like maybe a few months gap would be good.
Yeah.
Right? Because that
Yeah,
would
they'll
also
split it
regenerate
up.
hype for Forza again, right?
Yeah.
So I could see that.
Well, I'm thinking the Horizon DLC will be either playable that day, like of the showcase, or within, I would say, 2 weeks of the showcase, and then like September for
Yeah.
Motorsport.
That's
So
true too.
that
They don't
gives it
usually
enough
announce
breathing room.
that stuff way in advance. When those like when the expansions come
Yeah.
out, it's like you're right, Fuzzy. It's within like a couple weeks, you know, or even
Yeah.
But
sometimes
they
like
also
the
haven't
week
put out
of.
a roadmap. Like usually they have a roadmap to be like, and this DLC is kind of scheduled
Yeah.
for like the later half. We don't have a roadmap, so
Yeah. Well, I'm
I
excited to
think they
see.
had one. It was supposed, well, based on the original, I think, roadmap. I think the DLC for Horizon was supposed to be April-ish, but I think because of some of they had a couple of hiccups at the launch,
yeah.
so I think that got pushed back maybe a month or so. So that's why I'm figuring it's now for June as opposed to the original like slotted time of like April.
Right. So, if Fuzzy, you're on the same page. You think we'll get both this year, Forza Horizon DLC and
Yeah,
also the Forza Motorsport?
yeah, because they're kind of like different. There's it's a different audience to some extent. Like a lot of people, like Jasper said, the casuals and just about everybody will play Horizon.
Yeah, I'm not playing Motorsports.
Not
You're
as
not playing
many of that audience
Motorsport,
is
man. Come on, I want to dust your ass. Let's go.
now. Not as many are going to try
you sure about that?
Motorsport, but I hope I'm hoping they do go deeper into like drag racing, which that might have the appeal. Not that it's going to pull that many people away from Horizon, but it was something that they kind of messed around with, did a few more experiments, and it turned out well. They just need to, turn it up a couple of notches. And if they have drag racing set, I can totally see, that being a
I
draw
may
as
try that.
well.
Might try the drag racing.
Yeah.
I agree with Fuzzy too. But yeah, we're got lots to be excited about for this showcase, and we've been
Yeah.
working on doing prediction show in the background. So I've already gotten some predictions from a few people. Got predictions from Jez. I got predictions from Gaming Forte and
What
Jasper
are
here.
people mostly saying? You guys are mostly saying like Forza Motorsport will be there. Is it just because of the development time? Like why are people
Also, just
on
the
that train?
rumors and the stuff that's kind of leaked out about it.
Well, it just makes sense. This
What
game has
is
been
that about it?
this game's been publicly and privately testing from like
They
insiders
showed off
for.
the garage and rumors of people
Oh
visiting and
yeah. I
testing
forgot
and
about that.
stuff.
Okay.
There's been like private testing from this from like insiders that we've had conversations with. Fuzzy knows this very well for a while now. I mean, this is like over a year ago, you know, and like kind of we're giving feedback on the game and all that kind of stuff, you know. And I feel like when they announced the game was 2 years ago, right? When they announced Fable and Avowed and all that stuff, it was part of that 5 games coming to, you know, game coming to Xbox for next generation. And it's a racing game, right? It's not like you're
I'm not
doing.
necessarily saying either it'll be out this year. Like I'm
No.
just saying it'll be shown this year.
I think it'll be out this year, but that's just that. But that's just me. But the reason we used to get a Forza every other year.
Yeah.
You know, but it's been since 2018, Fuzzy?
17 was when 7 launched.
17. So it's
Wow.
been 5 years since Forza Motorsport, right? Which they built a new engine, reworked Forza Tech, all this stuff. They probably helped some with. They helped some with Halo. They helped some with.
I was just saying Halo was in development for like 6 years.
That's true, but like racing games usually, like, but they're going big on.
I was
this
just
one, though, right?
making a joke.
Yeah, they're going big on this, really reworking it, really retooling it, making it something that they can build off of for the next 10 years, probably, right? That's why this is taking so long. Plus, I think Turn 10 did help with some other projects, and also, you know, you got working on the engine, and also, you know, Forza Tech engines being used for a lot of different things. So I think that that's why it's taking so long. But I think the time is ready, and if they did have to have something, I think that's probably something that would have been the easiest to put together and wrap up in 6 months from now to make sure you have it for this holiday, right? Maybe originally, even if they weren't planning on it, maybe they were planning on it for like a early 2023 release. That's something you could maybe be like, hey, are we good to go on this thing, right? Because more tracks, more cars, or you know, it seems like they've
Motorsports is more focused, so you can get it out.
It's more 100%, exactly what I'm saying. I'm not saying you have. That's not something like you're cutting short or really, you know, like. And plus, you can have free content, keep adding to it and stuff over time with tracks and cars. And that's kind of what I've always expected Motorsport to be, anyway. Something that lives in Game Pass and they can add on to for over the years, because of the way it's a racing game. It's kind of perfect for that. You know what I mean? It's like, especially a track racer. Like Horizon, you got to build a whole new world. You don't have to do that.
You kind of want it to be like the Guitar Hero of racing games, where you just like play it for 10 years and just keep buying songs.
Yeah.
Well, you could definitely have Motorsport do that to some extent. Like if they have, let's just say, for example's sake, they carry over a lot of the tracks. Everything's been updated to a much higher resolution or higher fidelity as far as the track displays. There are still so many tracks. Like, to be honest, they have the most tracks out of all of the sim racers out there. But if they have, like, let's say every couple of months, like every 6 months, they add a track, that would be huge, because there's a ton of tracks just in the US alone that they could add. There's 15 that come to mind right now that aren't currently in 7 that, you know, they can add, you know, one every 6 months from those if possible.
They also
get the
just
licensing,
made, like,
that would be awesome.
a Las Vegas Formula One track. So like,
yeah,
I'm not saying they'll do Formula One, but they could just like start making, like, copying Formula One tracks and just put like driving.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the tracks are, you know, like popular tracks that actually exist, right?
Yeah, like Nürburgring is the classic one, you know.
Yeah, they got Daytona, both the oval as well as the road course. They have like VIR, they have Mid Ohio, they have Spa. I mean, basically, there's, I want to say, only like 2 or 3 tracks that GT7 has that they don't have, but they're like, for stateside, it's Willow Springs, and then for overseas, there's two tracks in Japan that are based on real tracks that they don't have, and that's pretty much it. Everything else they have. But I would love to see them have like there's a track not in my backyard, but out my way, New Jersey Motorsport Park. I would love to see them add that, because it's not as big as, like, let's say, like the Texas track that they just added not too long ago. Although I
Austin
think that track might actually be. I gotta double check to see if that's in there. I know it's in the NASCAR racing because the NASCAR series actually races there, but they could add that track to Motorsport. Although I'm pretty sure they already have that track in Texas. But yeah, there's a lot of like recent tracks that have been produced in about the past 4 or 5 years that they could add to it, and from there set them aside for every 6 months, a couple of cars or a couple of different type racing series, whether it's like the Formula 2 or the updated prototype cars,
I mean, that's
new
kind of how
electric
Flight Sim does
cars.
it. They'll add like airports every couple months, like hand designed airports that are like instead of just AI generated ones to give you more detail on certain airports.
Yes,
I think when they showcase Motorsport, also like it's gonna be it's gonna blow people's mind.
Yeah.
Right, I like because Forza Horizon
Look at
5,
the windshield.
Forza Horizon 5 already did that, and that's an open world racer, right?
Yeah, it's impressive. Like whenever people show, I noticed in a lot of the comparison videos because I was just like looking, I was like, GT7, okay, let me look at this game, just graphic wise, to Forza Horizon, and every time I looked it up, it would be Forza Motorsport 7 compared to GT7 rather than Horizon. I'm like, but Horizon is the newest game. Why are you guys comparing that?
Because
I get why.
Because it's a track racer.
Right? But you're comparing like a game that came out when, like
2017. And it still holds up well.
And it still holds up
well.
Like in some cases, it still beat GT7, to be fair. And I think that team is just very talented. Like they know what they're doing in terms of like graphic fidelity, and we used to look at racers as a way to push the envelope. Like when you bought a system, a lot of the times, like back in the
focuses. Like Forza focused more on visuals, where GT focused more on like your car.
Well,
it's weird. It's like
physics
GT
and actually
not in the beginning. If you look at like what GT was initially the racer, right? It was one of the best graphics and stuff. Forza just sort of took over that crown just over time by adding just different features.
One of the main differences originally for me with Gran Turismo and Forza, and what really sold Forza for me, was actually the physics. Because Gran Turismo, even though it was a sim racer at first, they got more of their sim racing feel from just being slow. and the detail on the cars, but like the handling and the mechanics of actually racing on a track with the tire physics and all those kind of things were way more advanced in Forza. And that was something that Forza always like really talked about. Like every time they had one of their showcases, it's like we spent so much time with the tire physics, and like it's the most important thing, and they kept talking about tire physics. It's like all they ever talk about is tires and physics, with tires and the tarmac and the road and the asphalt and like all this stuff. And it really
tires are getting hot. You need to change them.
It really did translate though to like a better feel in the game, where it came across more like simulation racing for me. Where some people kind of got tricked into thinking Gran Turismo was more sim because there was maybe more micromanaging on things, and also more is just slower, right? Like more realistic type speed aspects when you're racing and stuff. And I think ultimately they're both great games, but Forza has kind of won over the physics argument, where Gran Turismo always kind of had that like natural lighting aesthetic and element, where like the it has this like photorealism quality to it, right? Like the in the photo mode and in Gran Turismo games always looked like stunning. Like it was like, oh, is that a real car, or is that like in game? We don't know. That's something they always kind of showcase. But that was always in the photo modes. You know what I mean? But the handling wise, so I'm kind of a little opposite on that. From my experience,
I was just saying more like GT is more for like tuning, like focuses more on like the smaller parts of your car, whereas Forza is just like get you out there racing. Like
no, actually, Forza, at least in my opinion, Forza has a more detailed tuning model in comparison as far as the suspension is concerned. It's a little bit more dumbed down in GT. the things that highlight in GT are kind of like the small details, like the stitching in the wheel, or the wood grain on the steering wheel or on the dash. They go into the nth degree on that level of detail. But when it comes to the overall car model, it's not, you're talking about, like, I would say the level of detail is like 99 or 99 and 9/10 the level of GT. Well, Forza's 99.9 of the level of GT7. They don't focus on the stitching because that's not about racing. It's great when the car is standing still, but you're not looking at the stitches of the wheel when you're holding the wheel, or even if you use the wheel as a visible thing when you're racing on the track. But when it comes to the feel of the cars, for me, GT7 feels like you're on top of the track, and you always feel like you're racing at 10/10, where you have that twitch loose or you can spin out in an instant, while Forza is 9/10, and you want to stay in that 9/10 area because it's more predictable, it's more controllable. So you feel like you're in the track, you come out of the turn, and it feels like the car is going to stick, or the way you would expect it to come out of the turn. With GT, you do that sometimes. Sometimes the car will slide, or sometimes the car will, all of a sudden turn left, or all of a sudden get tight and wind up in the grass type of thing. So I think they put more
I'm just
emphasis.
coming from like an outside perspective, where it's like, because I don't play the sim ones, but like I always see people actually playing Forza, and in GT I always see people tuning their cars.
Well, they're probably trying to tune out that twitch loose aspect to it, because you definitely do need to do tuning. But there's some cool aspects of tuning, like body kits, the difference in the exhaust and things like that. But Forza stepped that up also with Horizon. They went into more detail on the different sounds with different exhausts, the different sounds on different superchargers and different turbos and things like that. So they both have a pretty good level of tuning, or decent amount of tuning. But I do it for me, it's a little bit trickier doing the tuning in GT7, just because it's not as well. It's not kind of like what I'm used to in comparison to motorsport. Like I know if I lower the car, adjust the camber a certain way, it should give me a certain response. I can adjust the sway bar to give a certain response. I do those same exact things in GT7, and sometimes it works as planned. Sometimes it makes it way looser than it should be. So it's like, I don't know.
I think that for me, like the cars always felt a little more floaty in Gran Turismo, right? Just whereas like they really felt like they grip the road and stuff. I don't know, something about the physics they just got. But like it's kind of like, hey, 1A, 1B, like there's like, they're both great franchises in my opinion, and it's just like a preference thing. But I think that when they showcase motorsport, I think it's going to be stuff that nobody's ever seen before, because of how long they've been working on this. Turn 10 has been used to working on a game for 2 years, and they've been given 5. So I'm expecting it to turn heads, and maybe it doesn't come out this year, but if it doesn't come out this year, then they've been given 6. Like, I mean, it's gonna be crazy. Anyway, let's get to this other stupid chat here. Why So Serious hit us earlier. I appreciate you again, dude. It says PS Plus added games is cool, but I played most of those games. Game Pass is still the best deal, especially when first party hits. Waiting. Yeah, so this is gonna get into our main topic an hour and 10 minutes into the show, where we went on a ramble of Forza Motorsport and Gran Turismo and Xbox. But so yeah, today there's some announcements from PlayStation and from Ubisoft Plus, and Ubisoft Plus is also officially coming to PlayStation. Again, it was similar to the announcement that they made for Xbox earlier this year. They just said more details coming later this year. So we don't know when official Ubisoft Plus is coming, but I think they wanted to get ahead of the announcement, because we do know that there's Ubisoft Plus Classics as well coming to PlayStation Plus, Extra, and Premium tiers. In Ubisoft's official post, they said Ubisoft Plus will come to PlayStation in the near future, bringing access to more than 100 titles, additional content packs, and rewards to the platform. The subscription service is currently available on PC, Stadia, and Amazon Luna, offering players day one releases, classic games, and premium editions, and ultimately will be available on PlayStation and Xbox. Again, no timetable. They kind of said the same thing, more details to come, that they did with the Xbox announcement earlier this year. Okay. So then they go on to say, but also they are revealing that beginning on May 24th, it will launch a new Ubisoft subscription for PlayStation Plus called Ubisoft Plus Classics. This is in addition to the PlayStation Plus announcement. Ubisoft Plus Classics on PlayStation is a curated selection of popular games, including top-selling Assassin's Creed Valhalla, The Division, not The Division 2, The Division 1, and For Honor, as well as beloved classic games like Child of Light, which is a good game, Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon, it's a really good 360 game, and PS3 game, Watch Dogs 1, sorry, this is getting funny, Werewolves Within, and more. The Ubisoft Plus Classics catalog for PlayStation Plus will launch with 27 titles and will grow to 50 by the end of 2022. Check out the full list of day one games below. So on this list, I will read the list of the 27 games launching on PlayStation Plus Classics, which is coming to on June 13th in the US, I believe, with PlayStation Plus Extra Premium services officially launching. So here's the official list. So I don't know how you guys feel about this, but we'll go through it. Assassin's Creed Valhalla. That's pretty solid, right? That came out, 2020?
All downhill from here.
Okay, so that's a biggie. They have to put that on top, obviously. Then For Honor, The Crew 2, Child of Light, Eagle Flight, Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon, Far Cry 3 Remaster, Far Cry 4, no Far Cry 5. Keep in mind, everybody, Far Cry 6 came out last year.
October? Yeah.
So Far Cry 5 came out, 3 years ago? Something like that? 4 years ago?
18 or 17, I think.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a while since Far Cry 5. The Far Cry 5 is too new to be on this list.
This had New Dawn, which came out after that.
Yeah.
The New Dawn's not on here.
No, I'm saying they had New Dawn, another Far Cry game, come out after.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They could have done New Dawn, which was the expansion.
5 was 2016.
There was like the 1.5 game,
yeah.
Like Far Cry 5 1.5. Legendary Fishing. Let's reel some of these games in there. Legendary Fishing, Risk Urban Assault. 2 South Park games. The South Park, The Fractured Butthole. South Park, The Stick of Truth.
It's a good game.
Good games. Recommend people checking out both of those games if you haven't. Space Junkies. Here you go, Jasper. This is where you're going to sign up. This is where you're going to sign up. The PlayStation
I already have it on
Plus
PC.
Premium. Star Trek Bridge Crew is coming.
Yep.
To Ubisoft Plus Extra.
Let's go.
Starlink, Battle for Atlas, Steep, The Crew, not The Crew 2, The Crew.
The first.
No, The Crew 2 is on here. Why did they separate them by so long? Okay.
I think The Crew, was it The Crew that had like amazing rain
US
physics?
Oh, that's not what their selling point was. It was the whole United States. Was
I just always looked.
There's like one game I always see on Twitter, like the racing was okay, but their rain physics, they're like that was
that's probably Drive Club.
That's
okay,
Drive Club, which got that studio got canned. Okay, so The Crew wasn't all that for me. I wanted to like it. It just did not click. All right, then we got the Division, not the Division 2. Hopefully that's a typo. Trackmania Turbo. Good game for those who haven't played it. Transference, Trials Fusion, another good game. Trials of the Blood Dragon game. Trials Rising, another good Trials game. Also came out years ago. Valiant Hearts, The Great War. Watch Dogs 1.
Jesus.
Werewolves Within and Zombie. If you don't remember Zombie is actually
Wii U exclusive.
It was a Wii U exclusive at first called Zombie U, and then later came out to other platforms as just Zombie.
You know what? All of those games have been games with gold.
Yeah.
Like 3 or 4 years ago.
Trackmania, Zombie, Valiant Hearts.
They've probably already been given away on PlayStation Plus as well.
Yeah.
I'm just put this into perspective. Assassin's Creed Valhalla is like the one big one they put on here, but it's still like even that's like a couple years old. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to knock this. It's adding more value to the service, which is cool. But I don't know if it's adding much more value than what they already had, because if the service is about playing old games, then this is more of the same, paying to play old games. And does this do anything to move the needle for PlayStation Plus Premium or Extra for anybody here?
I mean, if you've been on PlayStation ecosystem for a while, like Fuzzy said, you've probably already got those for free over PlayStation Now and all those other services they offer. So like, it's good if you haven't redeemed those, but I don't know why it's not going to make me sign up, because like, there's just a bunch of old stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it's kind of weird. Like, why not Watch Dogs 2? Like, what makes them like decide, oh, we can't give away Watch Dogs 2? But even Watch Dogs Legion came out in 2020, right? So like, why not? That's still 2 years ago.
Watch Dogs 1 was 2013, I think.
Yeah.
Like,
and Watch Dogs, I think, was already on PS Plus, but
yeah, that's what I'm saying. They've already offered all these games for free at some point.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be good for people, I guess, who don't have those games. Those games are a little bit older, so like whatever subscription thing, I guess it gives people like another go at a game if they didn't get it on PS Now already or whatever. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
I mean, this is the way. Like I always said with PS Plus, that they're trying to compete. And even though they don't want to admit it, they say we are not trying to do Game Pass or whatever. They are trying to compete in certain ways, and I think this is sort of their way of doing it. I think some of these games are pretty cool.
I think a lot of it's filler. Like the best one is Assassin's Creed out of that, and like,
yeah,
if you're going for Assassin's Creed, like either wait for a sale, like because I guess like $18, like if you can beat it in a month, like it's cheaper to do it that way. But it's probably on sale for like $15 at some point.
I think it's been on sale for even cheaper. Like you might be able to get all 3 of the most recent Assassin's Creeds with all the DLC for like $40 or something like that. I'm pretty sure at one point I saw Valhalla for like around $7 or $8 online. Like it was probably last Black Friday or something like that. But I would say any Ubisoft game that's more than a year old should automatically be in that classics thing. If it's a year old, kind of like the way EA Play is, I mean, some of their games go into the vault after 6 months. So anything over a year should be in there. So Division 2 should definitely be in there.
I'm
sorry,
go ahead. Question for you guys. Based on Dark Zone's comment, he said, if you could pull it up, Mav, he says previously purchased. Oh no, he said, yeah, that one. PlayStation Plus premium games members will have a good selection that will show. No, the other one. Sorry. Previously purchased the digital. There you go. I'll select games from the original PlayStation and PSP generation will not have a separate purchase or sign up to. Wait, that's not it either. What the heck?
What are you talking
All
about?
right, let me read the comments for you. Okay, so he says PlayStation Plus Premium Deluxe members will have a selection of popular classic games to play, with some titles that will show improved frame rates and higher quality resolution. Probably taking advantage of some of the software on the PlayStation to enhance some of the games.
Okay, so those are like the. Oh yeah, go ahead.
And previously purchased the digital version of select games from the original PlayStation and PSP generation will not have to make a separate purchase or sign up to PlayStation Plus to play these titles. They're saying basically if you already bought those games in the PlayStation Store, you will have the ability to play them on.
Okay, yeah, that's what I remember. I was going to
PS5.
ask. The premium and deluxe. What is the cost of that?
The premium is actually the top tier, which has the back catalog of the old PlayStation 1, 2, and 3 games, and then also has the trials, the timed 2-hour trials that are going to be for
that's the
all
highest
games.
tier.
That's the
right?
highest tier. It's
$18.
Yeah.
$17.99 a month, or it's $120 a year, I believe. And then you
Is that
have
about the same price as Game Pass? Was that more?
it's more,
Game
It's
Pass
more at the
Ultimate is
moment.
15.
Yeah.
but it's less if you pay for it all up front.
Yeah.
So if you decide you want to pay $120 up front for it, it's less. But you don't get any day one games. So that's the main difference.
You also can't stack anymore.
Yeah, and you can't stack. So you're paying for I think you'll be able to stack those, but you can't stack currently with the stuff that's out there now. But
you can't stack like PS Now and then
Right.
try to convert it over.
So you want you'll be able to you'll get pretty much what you're going to get is these old games that are in the service. Plus, you're going to get access to a back catalog of PS1, PS2, PS3 games. The PS3 games will mostly be cloud-based and streamable. PS1 and PS2 games will be mostly downloadable. And the also the other aspect is the 2-hour game trials that are going to be for most games on the PlayStation Store, right? So that's the main difference between what you're getting in Premium as opposed to Extra, which Extra is pretty much just PS Now plus PS Plus, right? So you get access to this service that we're talking about now. It's their game. It's their not quite Game Pass, right? Service PS Now, and then there's also the PS Plus monthly games and stuff like that. And that one is, I think, is it $12.99 a month, Fuzzy? Or $13.99 a month?
I think it's 18, 15, 10, and
15, so
$7.
$14.99 a month for that one. And I think that one's $90 a year, something like that.
Yeah.
Somebody, if you have the numbers, I don't remember. It might be on this list, but I was going to go through the list of games, and we can kind of see if this is something that we think is going to move the needles. Because currently, last we knew, they had about 3 million PS Now subscribers, right? And if you're a PS Now subscriber, you probably also signed up to PS Plus. So between those two, you would think there's going to be about 3 million or so moved over into the Extra or the Premium tier, right? The Extra tier is what will be weighed against Game Pass for the most part, because that's the service where you're going to have the back library of downloadable games. Okay. Main caveat is I was expecting, hopefully, for there to be at least some third-party games coming out day one, with the first party refusing to do so, because if Xbox is also getting third-party games to hit day one, right? So it's I was kind of see how competitive they were going to be with that, right? Because we knew that, all right, PlayStation themselves wasn't on board, but were third-party publishers going to be potentially on board and going to try and take advantage of this service? Is PlayStation going to go that route with funding that? And it doesn't seem like they are, because the first list of games we're going to get are all old games. So we're going to get into the month. What you're going to get is the same things we've been getting pretty much. But here's the games that are announced for the day one. Not day one. Sorry, I got it. For the day for the launch of this
Launch
service.
day.
Yeah, launch day of the service. Not day one, because I don't want people to think there's day one games, but launch day of the service this is what's there. Alien Nation, a good game, came out on PS4. Bloodborne, a great game, came out on PS4. Concrete Genie, PS4 game. Days Gone, PS4 game. Dead Nation Apocalypse Edition, another good game, PS4. These are not bad games. I like the games here. We're just putting into perspective of a lot of people might already own a lot of these games. Death Stranding and Death Stranding Director's Cut on PS4 and PS5. I think the Death Stranding Director's Cut is kind of a good deal to be put in the service.
You don't have to pay that extra $10, $20.
Yeah, don't get to pay the extra $10. Demon Souls is on there. That was a PlayStation around launch time for PS5, I believe.
Yeah.
Destruction All Stars, which they did give away on PS Plus before as well. Everybody's Golf, Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut, another one. I'm happy that's in there, right? That's a good one. God of War on PS4, so that's already been given away for free, also with the PS Plus deal if you own a PS5. Gravity Rush 2, Gravity Rush Remastered, Horizon Zero Dawn, also given away for free, I think, if you bought a PS5 as part of that PS Plus collection. Infamous First Light, Infamous Second Son. Great games. I want Infamous to come back. Knack, the infamous Knack. Little Big Planet 3, Loco Roco Remastered, Loco Roco 2. Both Spider-Man games. So, Miles Morales is in there. Matterfall, Medieval, Patapon 2, Resogun, Returnal, Shadow of the Colossus, Tearaway Unfolded, The Last Guardian, Last of Us Remastered, The Last of Us Left Behind, no Last of Us 2. That was kind of surprising. Was that surprising to anybody else that they weren't going to put Last of Us 2 in there?
Nah, because they're probably still making money off of it.
Yeah.
Okay. But like,
and they're about to remaster. They're about to remaster or reboot
The Last of Us.
First Last of Us.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until Dawn, Uncharted, the Nathan Drake Collection, Uncharted 4, Thief's End, Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, Wipeout Omega Collection. Now, there's a lot of great games in there, right? Returnal might be the newest one that is actually hitting here, unless you count the director's cuts. If you count the director's cuts, like of what's the game?
Ghost of Tsushima and Death Stranding.
Death Stranding. If you count the Death Stranding director's cut, I think that's the newest thing, which actually did have some extra content. But Returnal, as far as like full new releases, is the newest game, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's the problem they're going to have is like if you just get this for like a month or two, you beat the games you want, and then you cancel because they're not adding new games to it. They're just adding games that you might have already played.
Right. So, but like I don't. It's tricky, man. I think there's value in this for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there is. It's just it's short term, I think.
Right.
It's not going to keep you in there.
Question is it worth paying? Okay, so how much is the year for extra for all up front?
Guardians is pretty cool. They added that, right? I mean, I bought that already, but
yeah, that's also been in Game Pass too. Yeah. So that's still a good thing though. Like Guardians is a big thing.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Can somebody look up the price for extra for a year up front? Third-party partners. Now, these are the third-party games. This is what we were waiting to see. Okay, this is the thing that we were waiting to see to quantify the value that PlayStation Plus, what they were going to come back with and be able to compete against Game Pass to see if it was going to be more of a at least a halfway match in that aspect, right? So you got Ashen, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. That's one of the newer ones, and that's from that whole Ubisoft Plus Classics thing. Batman Arkham Knight, Celeste, City Skylines, Control Ultimate Edition, Dead Cells, Far Cry 3 Remaster, Far Cry 4, Final Fantasy. I'm not going to, you know what, I'm going to skip over the Ubisoft ones because we already talked about those. Final Fantasy 15 Royal Edition, Hollow Knight, Guardians of the Galaxy. That's came out last year, so that's a pretty big release to have in there as well. Mortal Kombat 11, Naruto Shippuden, Ultimate Ninja Storm 4, NBA 2K22. That's a good one as well. I think that's going to be
$60 for a year of PS Plus Essentials.
How much?
$60 a year for PS Plus Essentials.
For what? How much for extra?
I think that's what that's called. Is Essentials?
No, Essentials extra, only gets you PS
Plus. Extra is $100 a year, $14.99 a month in the US.
Yeah, with Essentials, you just get to play online games and you get the free PS Plus games every month. Okay. So Essentials is the same thing that PS Plus is now, and then Extra is like PS Now and PS Plus together. So it's 100. You said 100.
Yeah, 100.
I mean, Dark Zone just said there's
it's 100
list of games. So is it? There's more.
Yeah, it says that's not the full list of games that's launching with more than that list is showing. Maybe they have more to announce still, which maybe that would be some of the bigger releases they have if they're holding them back. But like, why would they hold them back when it's launching in a month? I don't know. Maybe right before they launch it, they'll talk about that. Outer Wilds, Red Dead Redemption 2. That's a good one. That's a big one. I think 2K, you getting these deals with 2K, having Red Dead Redemption 2 and NBA 2K22 on there is going to move the needle a little bit for some people that haven't already bought those titles, especially NBA 2K22. That is a very popular game, and just knowing you have access to that, is going to be pretty big. Resident Evil Soul Calibur 6. You got let's see, Artful Escape, and that's it. Then we got the whole Ubisoft thing. Then here's where we go with like the original PlayStation and PSP games. So this is the classic games catalog. This is part of the premium. So this is what some of the games that are coming there. So is this? So this is from just the original PlayStation. This is all they have from the original PlayStation. Ape Escape, Hotshot Scoff, IQ Intelligent Cube, Jumping Flash, Sight and Filter, and Super Stardust Portable. And third-party partners is Mr. Driller, Tekken 2, Worms World Party, and Worms Armageddon. I'll definitely play some Tekken 2. I was under the impression though they're not going to have a show till maybe like August, kind of like last year. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe they'll have a little. Maybe they'll have like a little. What is it? What is it? The State of Play.
Ape Escape 2.
State
Let's
of Play
go.
right before this launches. Okay, so wow, classic games catalog remasters. These are the PS4 games. Are these? I'm thinking these are classic games that were already remastered for PS4. Okay, so Rogue Galaxy, everybody.
Yeah.
If you're into JRPGs,
Yeah, Jack 2 was
play that
PS2. So when did they remaster that?
I don't know. I didn't know they remastered Rogue Galaxy either because that's a PS2 game.
I think this is where they're having their enhanced list of games because I saw down below there's Lego Harry Potter, and that never got a remaster. So I think it might just be enhanced. I think that might be what.
Yeah, this says classic game catalog remasters, and they all say PS4 on them. So.
So I guess they'll be playable on both PS4 and PS5 or something like that.
I guess, yeah.
And have hopefully things like frame rate boost or FPS boost, kind of like what Xbox does. But I guess we'll see.
Yeah. Okay, here's what it says. Additionally, some remastered classics from previous console generations will be added to the PlayStation Plus Deluxe plan. Below is an early look at selection games that will be available. So. Yeah, there's some good games in there. Again, like Rogue Galaxy is the one that jumps out to me. Wild Arms 3 as well was a great game. You got Hot Shots Tennis, that was a blast back in the day. Dark Cloud, that was pretty good. But then we got third-party partners. You got BioShock Remastered, Borderlands, The Handsome Collection, Bulletstorm, Kingdom of Amalur: Re-Reckoning, and Lego Harry Potter.
Lego Harry Potter. That's pretty cool.
All right, so now we have this PS3 games. These are only available via streaming. Okay, because the PS3, they cannot figure out how to emulate that sucker. Flush Jackson says Rogue Galaxy has been available for years. I didn't know they are did any kind of work on that, but he says that it's playable, it's remastered somewhat, but no, this isn't a modern boost. Okay, so they just kind of like res boosted it or something potentially. Okay, so PlayStation Studios for PS3. Crash Commando, Demon Souls, Echo Chrome, Hot Shots Golf, World Invitational, Infamous 2, Infamous Festival of Blood, Loco Roco Coro Recto, Coco Recho, Motorstorm Apocalypse, good game. Motorstorm RC, Puppeteer, Rain, great. Really, well, that's not Heavy Rain, is it? That's different.
No, that's just Rain.
Okay, Rain. Ratchet and Clanks. Again,
Quest
only
for Booty.
streaming. Resistance 3.
Of time. There's all those names for the Ratchet and Clank, just metaphors for going in the ass or something.
Maybe. The Quest for Booty, A Crack in Time, and Into the Nexus.
Cut us off.
Yeah.
Dang it, Jasper won't be able to see that.
I'll never be able to look
Exactly.
at Ratchet and Clank at the same time. Quest for Booty, A Crack in Time. What was the name of the new one again?
Ripped apart.
Rift
Ripped Apart. But they accidentally made that typo, Ripped Apart, the other day on Twitter, right?
Rip the fart, yeah.
Third-party partners, PS3. Asura's Wrath, good one. Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2, cool. Devil May Cry HD Collection. Enslaved, Odyssey to the West. Ninja Theory game. Fear. Fear 2, I would like if they had Fear 2 instead of just Fear, but that's okay. Lost Planet 2. Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2. Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare. Let's go. Okay. We'll see how the streaming service works on this. Then time limited game trials. So the limited time game trial benefit will enable you to try select games before you buy. After downloading a trial of the full game, you can play it for 2 hours for most games. The playtime counter only counts while you are in the game. It's a great way to try games before you decide to buy, and any trophies and game save data from the trial period will carry forward if you purchase the game. Here are some of the titles that will be part of the limited game trials.
I'm not a fan of the trials.
These are just some, like, so there's only
Why
6
Wonderland?
games.
That's a new game.
These are only 6 games added to this list. So are they just not, are they working on more? Because the way that previous announcements made it seem like there's going to be a shit ton of game trials, and this is 6 games. Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection and Horizon Forbidden West.
Well, that probably only applies to new games coming out for the service or whatever.
You think so?
Not,
so these are like the ones that, okay, that makes sense. Like going forward, because they can't go retroactively add this. Okay. Yeah. All right. But Cyberpunk 2077 has it. And so does Farming Simulator 22, Tiny Tina's Wonderland, and WWE 2K22. All right, so those will get trials. WWE 2K22 is pretty dang good, guys. So try it out. New games added regularly. The games available in our PlayStation Plus games catalog will continue to refresh and evolve over time. So there's always something new to play. Blah 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 blah. Launch is just a week away. Starting with Asia on May 24th, followed by Japan on June 2nd, North and South America on June 13th, and finally Europe, Australia, New Zealand on June 23rd.
I like how they put that a day after the Xbox conference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Cloud streaming requires a minimum internet speed of 5 megabits per second, and streaming may not be available for certain games. PC streaming users must be 18 plus. Why do you got to be 18 plus to stream games? Is that like a law?
No.
Probably because there might be like microtransactions in them, and you can't.
Oh yeah.
There's probably some like weird law with that.
Okay. I didn't know if it was dangerous or.
Like,
no, I think kids
Get
stream
electrocuted by the
Minecraft.
cloud.
Well, actually, on Twitch, I know they have like you have to be 13 and up or something like that.
I think that's because you're showing like you can show yourself on that, but this is just like streaming games.
Oh, as long as you have your parents' permission, right? You can
Yeah.
Be whatever. Okay. Yeah.
But if you have your parents' credit card, then all bets are off. No, I'm just kidding.
That's good.
So, what's y'all's overall impression? I mean, do y'all think you'd be interested in subscribing if you have a PlayStation to the extra tier, or stick with just regular PS Plus just to get online?
Thought you never asked, Mav.
I will say for someone who's skipped the entire PlayStation 4 generation, like it does offer somewhat of appeal because I get to go back and play the games I didn't play on PS4, but it's not going to go make me buy a PlayStation just to do that. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. So, somebody on Twitter, by the way, took my fake crying filter face seriously. Thought I was actually crying about the Civil War from Xbox.
They didn't even giggling in there.
Oh, God. That filter looks so freaking crazy. I was cracking up.
That's so funny.
Gosh.
It's meant to be a sarcastic joke, but this guy. But you know what? Like, his name is Xbox Master Race Power Slave 614. So
wow,
it's to be
What
Sock
expected,
account.
right? Yeah. He goes to say, "What Civil War? Talk about over exaggeration." Like, anyway, some people can't take a joke. Anyway, all right. So Jasper's on the train that, hey, you know what? I think like $100 you'll pay up front for a whole year, and would you pay $15 a month, or would you, or $14?
I would just buy the $120 a year. I always do the year off.
So you would get the premium and do the whole like PS1, PS2 thing.
Because I got to play Siphon Filter. I don't know
That's
the trolls gonna be
that's
ass, but
true, man.
Yeah.
That's a good point. And
But
you know
can't
you
you
are
just
getting
buy it?
6 game trials.
No,
yeah.
you can't just buy it.
I don't know if you can buy. I guess You could do that on the PC, on the PlayStation Now PC or whatever it was called. You could buy PlayStation 1 games and stream them, I think. But
Oh, so you have to have the service to. What the heck? That's trash. I didn't know that. So all those games that like they're saying like, hey, you could go back and play these really good classic games, and you could go back in time and play some Siphon. You remember Siphon Filter? Yeah, but you need the
Gabriel
subscription.
Logan.
Yeah,
You can't
unless you
buy
already
it,
previously purchased it on like a PS3
Mm-hmm.
or a higher. I mean, there's no way they could track it on PS2. I mean, like you didn't own.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like you would have to own the physical.
No,
there was
if
no
you-
digital back
if you
then.
did buy
right?
it on
I still have my
PS3.
Siphon Filter disc.
Yeah, I
but
got my
it doesn't
Siphon
work.
Filter disc. Can I put it in, get the license for it, and have it always part of my PS Plus Premium Extra subscription plus?
No.
No,
Is that
okay.
enough? Oh, okay.
But if you did purchase it while they had the digital storefront, apparently,
Yeah.
like PSP and after, supposedly you will get the ability to play those games even without a subscription.
So why do they do? Okay, why do they do
It's-
these things?
Just because
So why can't I
Xbox does
just-
it, like you can't buy Fear like 2 or whatever digital. If you have the disc, you play it. But if you
But they
bought it digitally
delist it,
before,
right?
you can download it. I think.
Yeah, but I think these old
They
games,
do-
are they making them available to purchase separately or only in the service?
I think it's only in the service.
So like that's the difference. With like Xbox, you can still it won't be in Game Pass unless it's purchasable online digitally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Like this is kind of like the Nintendo model a little bit with their back compat, where they're just tying the back compat into the service and not making those games purchasable separately. In
Yeah,
the
you can play
ecosystem.
like NES games or whatever.
which is kind of ass, because if you're only like interested in one game, you got to subscribe to a whole service instead of just buy the game, right?
Yeah. And
then if a game leaves the service, it's just gone.
Yeah.
So maybe
Game
I'm wrong on that.
preservation.
If somebody in the chat knows, like, are these games in these classic collections going to be available to purchase separately? Because I haven't read anything that says that they are.
But see,
I
I'm
don't
at
think
the,
they
like
are.
I'm also the kind of person that's like, I mean, I only want to play one game, but if I buy the service, I get 20 games that I might want to play. You know, it's like, I don't know. It's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird because this list is it has some impressive games on there, but a lot of these games are games people or probably already played, or purchased or something like that. But if you haven't, yeah, you got some titles in there, I guess. But then again, like, well, not again, but like, if you're going to see some games in there that like, oh, I like Until Dawn, or I like some other games in there like Siphon Filter or something, then you have to question like, okay, those two games that I really like, should I just try and buy it,
Yeah.
or am I willing to shell out like the full price for it? Because I don't think it's comparable to that Game Pass thing yet.
Yeah.
I'm also wondering how the
If I'm
controls are going to
comparing.
work on some of those classic games, because PlayStation 1 didn't have 2 analog sticks. How are they like? Do you still have to use the D-pad? Or are they going to like emulate some like new controls for those games? Or
Oh, I don't know.
Good question.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's a good question.
Dark Zone in the chat's been really helpful in this episode, because I've been doing a lot of reading on this, I guess. But yeah, I spotted it on the PlayStation blog. So thanks for pointing that out. Said this is what it says officially. PlayStation Plus Premium Deluxe members will have a selection of popular classic games to play, with some titles that will show improved frame rates and higher quality resolution compared to their original launch versions. For select original PlayStation and PSP classic games, members will also enjoy a new user interface with menus that allow you to save your game at any time, or even rewind the game if you want a do-over. So they'll have some of that like
rare replay.
yeah, kind of what they do with some of those classic collection things, where you can kind of like replay or fast forward, rewind, not fast forward, rewind. And then it says also players who have, this is where the important thing is we're looking for. Also, players who have previously purchased the digital version of select games from the original PlayStation and PSP generation will not have to make a separate purchase or sign up to PlayStation Plus to play these titles on PS4 or PS5. So I'm wondering where like PS3 is in that, because I guess PS3 is only streaming, so that's why they didn't include PS3 there. And we know PS2 didn't have that.
Yeah. It would have to be for some of the games that you could have purchased in the PS3 store that
Right.
were PS2 or PSP, Vita.
That the games that had
some
been
of those
emulated via the PS3 store that were originally. Okay,
Yeah.
so when these titles are released for PS4 and PS5, players can head to the PlayStation Store and download a version for the consoles at no extra cost if they already own the digital version of the title. Some of the titles will also be
I want to get a
available
PlayStation now for some reason.
for individual purchase. So I'm guessing only some of those titles will be available for individual purchase, which means
Mhm.
they don't say anywhere in here that any of the PS2 games. Well, that's really what I'm looking for is like the PS2 games, right? For the
Is
most
Miles
part.
Morales only on PlayStation 5?
No.
On PlayStation 4 and 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that game
I feel
is
like
great.
I want to buy like a cheap PlayStation 4 and get this service and play a shit ton of PlayStation 4 games I missed.
Yeah, I recommend Miles. Let's get one.
Yeah, you could do that. You still got to wait for a few of them. They're not there yet. You know? But I mean, honestly, I'm just being real, right? I will probably at some point get the premium tier out of curiosity, right? Just because I like to like check it out and be like, what's all in here? Like I want to experience it and then decide if it's for me. But the trick is, do I fork over a month at $15 before I just decide to pay for a full year? Because I don't want to pay, or sorry, $18, because I don't want to pay $18 a month for that.
I
right?
paid 2 years for PS Plus. So what happens to my 2 years?
They gave you some chart that
There's like
calculated
weird. There's a conversion chart that has a bunch of like lines drawn.
I don't want to read it. You guys just got to.
I think you're by default you're going to have the essentials tier.
Yeah, you'll have the essentials tier be converted over naturally just to essentials.
So
your PS Plus is going to stay the same. It's just going to say essentials after it.
Now the only thing you lose is the that PS5 collection. If you have a PS5, you lose some of that collection, like the what do you call them, God of War.
No, I think they said that collection was staying.
Ooh.
But they also like that conversion chart. They also changed like how many dates like you actually keep. Like if you bought a year, you only get like 314 days out of it instead of 365 because the price is different or some shit.
Yeah, it's just weird.
I'm not even gonna know. That's too much work.
I mean, for me, the problem at the early stages of this is that there's going to be a lot of overlap. Since I'm already full in on Game Pass Ultimate, I'm probably going to hold off and just stick with Essentials for right now, just so I have online access. But
and you keep your cloud saves.
Yeah, I think the big thing is going to be, let's say, a year or two from now when there isn't as much overlap between the two services, then it'll be worthwhile for me to step up to either extra or premium. It'll probably be premium because I'll probably wait until there's like a Black Friday sale or something like that, buy the year card and go from there.
Kate, with the funny of the show here, I think Phil Spencer's playing Overcooked 2 right now on Xbox. I'd say it's official. Xbox has no games.
Do the Seuss's. Put up Seuss's comment. That's so crazy.
Oh
wow.
Yeah, maybe he's trying to learn how to manage time.
I wonder. Did they say if PlayStation is going to remove games at certain dates, or is it just going to be added to?
They said it's going to be a changing list, I think. So.
Okay.
I mean, for their first party, I don't foresee their first party leaving service. If they remove their first party games out of the service, then that's like
it's PlayStation, they're going to.
No. They can't, right? I mean,
they pretty much like make you buy the same games again, even though
this is Nintendo here.
Like, okay, so The Last of Us is in there. So what if they pulled out The Last of Us before The Last of Us remaster comes out?
I feel like they would do that.
You think they would do that?
Yeah.
Wait, let me think about this.
If they do that, then somebody better
pull
say
out
something,
Last of Us remastered before the new one comes out. Yeah, I feel like they would, so they would promote the new one and make sure people buy the new one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
I
would
thought
want you
about
to
it.
go
I
and buy the old
think
one,
they
and
would.
then just, you can buy the new one.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm just calling this. If they ever do that, I hope people call them out. I hope the PlayStation.
That's just
big
modern.
fan
Like
base-
I'm just thinking about modern PlayStation. I don't think they would have done that in the past, but this modern PlayStation, I don't know. They're kind of greedy. No one. I mean, I don't feel like enough people calls out PlayStation. And in the beginning of the show, yes, we had our criticisms of Xbox, but I also have like my criticisms with how PlayStation handles like games and how they double charge you for things and how they try to upcharge you for whatever.
Yeah.
I mean,
Have you
people
seen it,
determine their own value for what they like. If you want to buy $70 games and to you that's valuable, cool. Um, and if they also sell you the same game and you think it's worth it
But
because
that
you're
also
getting
adds
a
value
price.
to their service because they charge you more for games when you can go and buy their service. So it's like,
Yeah, yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I think my biggest gripe with them is the $10 charge on the DualSense control features when I already bought the console that came with the controller. That just still, I don't care how you explain it, it just will never sit right with me.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but we'll see. I mean, they're trying to add value to PS Plus, and I do think this was a good list, but a lot of those games people have played. So if you haven't played those games, this is a really really good list.
that's what I was saying. I skipped the whole PlayStation 4 generation, so it's actually appealing to me, but I just don't.
Yeah. So if you skip the PS4 generation like Jasper, this list is amazing. You got some good hits in there for sure. And I'm not being sarcastic. I think that it genuinely has some gems in there if you haven't tried those games out.
Is there like
you know,
notable PS4 omissions on that list that you guys can think of?
like games
Detroit
that
Become
they should have
Human?
added. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm playing that game right now. It's
So this is
amazing.
okay. So this is where I want to go with this. Okay, I'm going to bring up that list again because that's interesting to me, right? Like, why would be the point of not adding all of your PlayStation 4 first party?
There was also the shitty
Games.
game that no one liked, 1886 or whatever, Order 1886.
Oh,
there
yeah,
was a launch title for
1886,
PlayStation 4 that no one liked, but it looked all right.
Okay, so I'm gonna. I hate to keep bringing up this list, but I got to go back to that because I really wasn't thinking about that when we were looking at it, right? What would be the point of doing that?
But they have to come up with stuff to add later on too,
Yeah.
because they're not adding day one stuff, so they got to hold off some of their old stuff.
So they're just like gonna have their own catalog that's gonna revolve in and out. Like, I mean, that'd be
Either
so
that, either that, or the thing that I think they're thinking of long term is it like a perfect example game like 1886. Let's say there's a future sequel. You put the original game in
Days
their
Gone is in on
service, shortly before the other one releases, type of thing, to
Oh, it is?
build
Never mind.
momentum or build hype for it.
Okay.
I guess, but it's just like 1886 isn't getting a sequel.
All right, chat. Name me some big time PS4
That is
exclusive
weird.
games. Like,
Hey, Bloodborne is in there, right?
Bloodborne
Yeah.
is.
Okay.
Days Gone is.
Mhm.
Demon's Soul is. That's a PS5 game. Ghost of
I'm-
Tsushima
I'm-
is.
Yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised Ghost of Tsushima's in there.
What
The director's
Uncharted?
cut.
Yeah, Thieves was in there. So
Drive Club
I
is
think
missing.
all the
that was
Uncharted's
a pretty heavily touted one.
I
but
think
this-
Drive Club had to be delisted because of licensing kind of thing.
Oh, okay. Was there any other racing games? What about GT Sport?
I think they're going to probably act like that didn't exist now that 7's out.
Yeah. Wasn't there like where was all the Gran Turismo games?
Good question. Long term, I think the earlier ones, because of licensing, they did have some licensed music in some of the previous ones, and then some of the car licenses. I think it's going to be like that across the board when it comes to both Xbox and PlayStation. Like we got some of the previous Horizons and previous well, I don't know if we ever got the previous Motorsport. I think 7's the only Motorsport in Game Pass, but we had, I think, Horizon 3 for a short period, and then 4, and then 5.
those
and
got delisted
3 got
because of
delisted.
licensing. Yeah.
Street
Yeah.
Fighter is not in there, and that's exclusive.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but that's also third party, so we don't know what kind of rights they have.
Yeah, but didn't they pay to make that or almost pay to have that game made?
Pretty much.
They should own some of it.
There's no Infamous in there. Is there? Oh yeah, there is. Never mind. I just saw it.
I think the most recent one, but the classics might not be in there.
Yeah. I'm trying. Oh, what about Helldivers?
I guess.
Well, was that a first party game? I don't know if that was first party. I remember loving that game.
It was. I think it was third.
Anyway,
the big ones that I would like to see in there that probably won't show are going to be things like Motorstorm,
the first Horizon
series, or the was it Resistance series. But then again, there's rumor that they might be making a new one, so that's one that will probably come in later to build a pipe for the new one. Same thing with like a Twisted Metal. I don't know if Twisted Metal is listed as one of the classics either. I don't think it was.
But those are also PlayStation. A lot of those are like the good ones on PlayStation 3, so you have to cloud stream them.
That's the other thing is when is going to be the timetable that you expect first party games to go into the service, right? Like how many months?
Over a year.
Well, Returnal is like 18 months old by the time that this list comes.
That's why I said over a year. Like I think you have to wait a whole year at least.
What was Returnal's launch date?
It had to be like April or so. It was like March, April last year.
So it'd be 14 months. It'd be 14 months old by the time that this hits almost. So
dang.
A little over a year,
that time will as time progresses, I think that time will shorten, especially for like those games as a service games. Like those are the ones that probably go day and date, although my gut tells me they're still trying to figure out how exactly to monetize factions. Factions is the one that will probably be the surprise where it's like, oh, day and date in the service.
What's weird is they didn't even put Destiny in there, and they just bought Bungie.
But that deal's not finalized yet.
I mean,
right.
But yeah, they gotta. That one's going to be under scrutiny too a little bit, and it's going to go through the process. So it'll once that's finalized, I would imagine Destiny's going to be a part of it, which will be a big deal for them. You know, to have Destiny in there, you know, and have those marketing secured for Bungie releases in the future and all that kind of stuff. And the other thing, we know that more games of service games are coming from PlayStation because they did say that they have like 10 games of service type games in the works that are supposed to release until 2026. So I would imagine if they were counting Bungie in that with the acquisition, that maybe one of those is Bungie's next game, and then maybe I don't know if they're counting like Gran Turismo's one.
Yeah, they probably are.
But after that still leaves like 8 games that we don't necessarily know about right now that are games of service. So some of those could be going
games of service and your subscription service.
That's what the model. That's one of the things that the model's best built for because, my thing is that.
Yeah, but then they can double dip. They sell you the game, and then a year later they put it in the service.
Well, that's true, but like games of service, a lot of times have like more like monetization with them, but as far as ongoing content.
I'm just like I get that. It's just I'm thinking like Sony's mind, how like greedy they are recently. Like they're going to try to get as much money out of you. Like that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be dependent on. Here's the thing. I don't think the service is going to grow as much as they want until there's more games coming to it like early,
closer to release.
You know, I mean, you don't necessarily even have to go day and date right away, but like, you know, like to for 14 months or older. I mean, even the Ubisoft stuff is like, you know, they don't even Watch Dogs 2 or Legion. It's Watch Dogs in there. They don't have Far Cry 5. It's Far Cry 4 and before. You know what I mean? So you're going back to like 360 generation, PS3 generation type times with a lot of these games that are dropping in there from Ubisoft as well. So that doesn't do a lot to move the needle for me. It's cool. You know what I mean? But like, I don't want to pay a subscription to play old things. I want to pay a subscription to help save me money for the future. Right? And add value.
I'm wondering if that Ubisoft Classics things, because all those games they listed are games that have been remade for the console, like the Xbox One generation, so you can download them. But like games like Assassin's Creed 1, you would have to stream it because they didn't remake it. So is that going to be included in their other 50 games they add to that service for the cloud streaming PlayStation 3 games?
I don't know, Jasper.
Good question.
That's a great question, Jasper. Why don't we ask Jim Ryan and find out? Jim, what else are you adding to your 50 games that you're going to be having hit before the end of the year on Ubisoft?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Matt.
Jim Ryan has more like a Scottish like type accent a little bit. I don't really know.
I don't know how to do that.
No, I kind of feel that, and I don't mean to, poke fun at Sony, but I kind of feel that this service was kind of thrown together without, I mean, not just like overnight type of thing, but it was
from each
more of like a, let's hurry up, get this together. We'll build it or work on it as we go. There's going to be some moving parts, like some of the PS3 stuff versus, the classics out of Ubisoft's catalog, and how like the games as a service start to, work their way in there. Like I would say just about any major online multiplayer game, they should target since that's like their weak spot, I guess. That should be the one thing that they really target getting into the service to at least.
The problem is that you need a whiteboard in your room just to figure out how the damn service works and what you get.
That's fun. Yeah. Let's get to a couple super chats real quick. $2 super chat from RWK88. Appreciate you, bro. It says found a way to make its players pay for back compat. Back catalog for sure. You know what I mean? I think that's they're instead of doing the service is like, hey, here's you get access to all your old games. Instead of that, it's like here they saw what maybe Nintendo did. It was like that's going to be the model that we take, but with more of a larger catalog, right? And go bigger on that model. It almost seems like that's what it is, but like you got some newer stuff in there as well. Not new, but newer stuff that I mean, I can definitely see where for a lot of people this will have value, but I don't think it's necessarily going to draw the masses in as something like Game Pass does. That now it doesn't need to. I don't know. That's up to Sony. What are they trying to do? We don't know what Sony's trying to accomplish with this. I think they're potentially of two minds right now. I think half of them want to do that for the future. Half of them are like, no, let's take the step and then see how it goes, right? So we'll see. But yeah, appreciate the $2 super chat, man. You rock. Also, Why So Serious hit us with another $5 super chat earlier. Said, Mav, love your story on trading games in on the Iron Lords. Went through the same. Oh, dude, appreciate you so much, man. But like, yeah, for real, dude, I would like, I couldn't stand it. I'm still the same way today. If I want something, I need it. Like, I can't like sit there and wait. And when you're like a teenager or before, and you're like, your family has no money, you can't just like ask, how can you go get me this game console? Or go, I mean, it's not an option back then, right? You do whatever the hell you got to do. You're like, look, I'm going to go figure out everything I got that I can add up the value on. I'll make a phone call, like this little cracky voiced kid calling GameStop or Funko Land or whatever it was. Hi, how much do y'all give for NBA Shootout? How much do y'all get for
what's funny is you only have to change your voice because your voice still cracks sometimes.
That's true. I sound the same as I did when I was 16. You're right. How much do you get for this? How much do you get for that? And they get so annoyed. You got like 15 games, because you're trying to at home, you're trying to like add all that shit up. Like all right, it's the console's $300 and I need this game and this game. And like, you're like, you start digging around through closets. Like, what?
You're like, my birthday's next month. Can we just get an early birthday?
Yeah, like you ask
give them like 100 games, they give you like $5.
Yeah, you ask for like gift cards to those places for Christmas or your birthdays. You know what I mean?
Hold them up over the year.
Yeah, and then you know what? Like, if you see that new thing, no matter what, you got it. That old thing doesn't matter to you anymore, even if you've invested like 10 years of your life into it, and it's like everything you need that whatever you got to do. So you take some freaking Tom Thumb or Kroger bags or whatever the grocery store you have, and you sit there and you shove all your shit into it, and you go up to GameStop and take pennies on the dollar and come out with a new console. And it was a good feeling.
a Mario Tennis game. It was like 3 years old. It was like $48. I'm like, GameStop is giving me $48 for a 3-year-old game. Holy shit!
Yeah. We did whatever we had to do, man. Like, and that's why I don't have a lot of old consoles and old games, because like that's just the way it was, you know. If I could go back and be able to have everything I traded in, oh my god, this room would be full.
It's so weird to even think about that time, because I remember I would look at magazines to get my news, to find out what's going on in the gaming industry. I would look in news articles, and I actually would read like Ryan McCaffrey's work, and he was my favorite journalist at the time, and I was like, wow, this is cool.
I never looked at the names of the journalists.
I didn't either.
I just like
really?
was like, yeah. I never looked at the names of the journalists.
Like, oh, that's a cool game, and then I played the demo disc.
Yeah, I just looked for the articles. I mean, I remember I always looked at the articles as like games coming out. Like,
because I wanted to do it though. I wanted to write and like do that stuff. So I was like, I wanted to know who did it.
Yeah.
Even as a kid, it was just weird.
Yeah, that is weird. I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding, man. It just shows you were thinking about stuff more than we were. Like, for at least me, like I just like, same today. I'm always looking for what's the new game coming out, what's the next stuff coming out. I just constantly live in that like excitement of what's next and what's the next thing. And when it comes out, I'm like, oh, this is badass. And like 5 minutes later, what's next? What's the next thing? You know what I mean? That's just how I've always been. And the magazines were always the first glimpse into the stuff that's coming next, right? So that's why I always love those.
It's almost like a way to keep time. It's like 6 months from now, you know, this game's coming out. It's like 2 years from now, we'll get this game. It's like just a way to like just think of like what's coming next. You know?
Yeah, and we didn't get the same news of like these delays and cancellations that we did sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, so sometimes these games would just disappear into the nether, and you remember being excited for this thing. Like, I remember like a year ago, I read about this game in this magazine, but like, where is it? Like, I don't see anything.
Like Duke Nukem was delayed for 10 years.
Right. So then eventually, like, once you graduate to a computer and you can actually go online and there's actually gaming websites, you start to get more information regularly, you know, and like you actually have journalists start covering this stuff and like posting articles daily and stuff like that, you know. So that's when it kind of changed. As far as gaming news, and then you had sites like IGN go crazy, GameSpot, you know,
EGM.
Yeah, One Up.
Wait, who was EGM?
Electronic Gaming Monthly, bro.
Monthly.
Yeah. So it was that was One Up. You had Game Informer, you know, official Xbox magazine.
I love the PlayStation magazine because it gave you some demos and stuff. I think the Xbox did too. Yeah, that was pretty cool. I miss those. Actually, I only found
the grocery store. I'd always go to the magazine aisle and just like look through the plastic cover, what's on the demo disc and shit. Like,
yeah, I would do that too. I actually discovered Halo because of the demo disc. Fun fact: it was on the exhibition disc on the original Xbox. They had like demos you can try out, and I think it was exhibition disc 3, and Halo was the very last game. And I wasn't allowed to play it, but I did it anyways. And then my dad enjoyed it, and we loved it.
Yeah, I had Star Wars Battlefront 2 was on one of the demo discs, and it was the Utapau level. I played that demo disc more than I played some like full games.
Yeah, I think I played the Halo trial more than Halo itself. For years, I would play the trial. It's weird.
Yeah, there was a lot of good demos back then. I remember there's a lot of bad ones too. There's a lot of bad demos in those magazines. I had a lot of OXMs. I had a lot of. I got rid of all my gaming magazines at some point because we were moving around so much because we had rented houses for years, and like so we like kept moving, and they weighed so damn much, dude. I had bins full of magazines, and those things were like so expensive. They took up so much space. So I think one day we did like a massive clean out of a lot of stuff, and just like got rid of all of those things. But like I kind of regret it now. I wish. Yeah, because I would want it for this house, right? Because I have the space in this house for it. I would like to display them somewhere, have them really look cool, you know, and all that stuff. But yeah, man, I do miss that stuff. I miss getting the magazines. If I got a magazine now, I wouldn't read it. To be honest with you, I like it for the cover. Does anybody here get gaming magazines still? Anybody in the chat or Fuzzy? Do you still subscribe to like Game Informer and get the print version?
It's probably whoever has GameStop like still signed up for Power Rewards. Other than that, no.
Yeah, I used to, and then I think when I got my PS5, I think I just I think I had enough points to do the Game Informer, but I haven't gotten the Game Informer probably since I got my PS5.
Yeah.
So yeah, I no longer get them. All I would do is just basically stack them up next to like the physical game boxes that I have for like some of the Xbox One generation and PS4 gen. But I've just gone totally digital where it's like I'll just look at it online instead of having the books. Although
like
the
doing
one
the
thing
quiz bag.
I wish Game Informer would do is take some of their cover art and sell that as art. Like there are some of the covers where it's like
They're so
it's
gorgeous.
better than the
Yeah.
game box art that's on the actual game. And it'd be kind of cool to turn that into like a picture in the gaming room type of thing.
Yeah, I agree, man. That's what if I had them still, but like then you kind of feel bad tearing off the cover to do something with that. It's always like you're tearing
You tore
apart
off
a
the
piece
cover?
of history. No, I'm saying if you were to make art out of it now, because you're not gonna staple like full ass like magazines to your wall. You know what I mean? But maybe you could frame up the magazines and put them around or something cool like that. I don't know, but yeah, you're right, man. Those like magazine covers were freaking gorgeous. I liked a lot of those. Yeah, the chat saying that like they still get some of them still get like the GameStop ones. But like here's the thing. I remember when GameStop asked me like, "Do you want the digital version or the physical?" And then eventually one time I was like, "Shit, I just give me the digital." And then you get the email with the digital version or whatever. You like click on it. It's like this kind of sucks. You know, I don't really like looking through a digital version of a magazine. I don't know. Like I don't enjoy that at all. I just rather go to a website and get the news. Even now, I don't even do that. We all just watch videos, don't we? How many of us actually go and read articles every day? Y'all read articles every day? I stopped doing that. I don't do it.
I haven't been on IGN in probably 10 years.
10 years? Wow.
I get my news. I mean, and also Jim Ryan, this isn't a thing, so you can start doing demos for PlayStation. You don't want more
not
demos.
demos of trials.
Oh yeah, sorry, trials. Yeah, I think for the most part. Wait, what the heck was the question? I totally
is
forgot.
PS Plus copying official Xbox magazines model subscription service, and you get games?
Oh yeah, like magazines. I get my news mostly from just like different content creators. It's been a while since I followed like news sites, to be honest.
The ones they lost all their credibility.
I've always kind of went to the source for the news. Like I would like if Ubisoft announced something, I go to Ubisoft. I don't go to like.
Well, that's the other aspect of this now with like Twitter, right?
Yeah.
Also, you can just follow all these like things, and right as soon as something happens, you know about it. You get a link right away to like the official article from the source itself, so you're not like having to get a retread story on it. So what's kind of come to like most of the stuff that we read is more of like rumors and speculation type articles and opinion articles, right? And because that's all that's the left for people to really talk about, you know. And reviews obviously, but most I think a lot of people switched over to mostly watching reviews too, or watching streamers actually play the game if they want to know what it's like. And on PlayStation, you're gonna get to play for 2 hours, and you're not even gonna have to worry about that either. So if you subscribe for $18, hey, but guys, did you see this? Speaking of publications and websites talking a lot about rumors and speculation lately.
Metaverse or multiverse game?
No, there's that. That was a video that released. That was pretty cool. Yeah. But this was from videogamechronicle.com. Konami's Silent Hill plans could include a remake, full sequel, and episodic stories. So supposedly Silent Hill is being completely reinvested in from Konami. And Bloober Team is one developer understood to be working on a revival of the horror franchise. So videogamechronicle.com says multiple Silent Hill projects are currently in development, which I remember a former rumor from them had also alluded to this in the past. In development at studios around the world. Studios around the world are working on Silent Hill. That makes things sound really grand, doesn't it? Studios around the world are working on Silent Hill. Sources have told VGC and could include a remake, full sequel, and story-focused episodic series. Last week, a collection of leaked concept images appeared to confirm that a new Silent Hill is or was in development. So that saying that who knows, maybe they canceled it even. Like I don't know. He doesn't know. This followed a VGC story from last February. This is the article I was talking about. in which they reported that Konami was planning to revive the long dormant horror game series. Then now details are emerging on what some of those projects could look like, as first mentioned by influencer Nate the Hate and journalist Jeff Grubb. One of the end development titles could be a remake of fan favorite 2001 installment Silent Hill 2. He said that this matches with what VGC has heard from their own sources. It's claimed that the remake will feature reworked AI, animations, puzzles, and several new endings, and potentially released as a timed exclusive on PlayStation consoles. Again, PlayStation doing those good old timed exclusive deals. The Medium studio has been linked to the Silent Hill franchise constantly over the past 18 months. Last year, the Polish dev announced a strategic cooperation agreement with Konami, months after Bloober's CEO claimed it was working on an existing horror IP from a very famous gaming publisher. It seems everything's lining up for Bloober Team. Also, Silent Hill's composer Akira Yamaoka even worked on Bloober's 2021 title, The Medium, and teased his next game project by stating that it was the one you've been hoping to hear about. All right. So,
that sounds cool, but PlayStation rumors never really end up being true.
But this one is from Grubb, I will say.
Oh, Grubb. Okay.
Right. So, Grubb originally reported, and also Tom Henderson, who has also been very right on a few other things that he's posted about.
Yeah.
And then also this one's
that
Andy Robinson, also for VGC. So I think that
you think there's merit?
Do have some merit to it, as well as the stuff that we know about from Bloober and their public announcements as well. It seems like stuff is kind of like lining up for that. So, will PlayStation be getting Silent Hill exclusive games? And is that maybe that's going to be one of their announcements this year, potentially?
That would be sick if true. I think a lot of people are waiting for a Silent Hill game. And I remember when Bloober Team came out with their promotional material for the Medium, a lot of people were saying like, hey, they should be the ones to also do Silent Hill.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure maybe that's when they possibly got into talks with, if this is true, maybe got into talks with Konami, and like, hey, we can handle your IP, whatever.
Well,
Konami's not doing anything.
Xbox tried to buy all of Konami.
Wait, what?
I said a few years ago, Xbox tried to buy Konami, but that went under because everyone started talking about it, and it got big. It became too public, so they had to back out of the deal. Apparently,
Yeah.
Really?
Like a concern over insider trading or something like that, or
yeah.
I'm not sure what happened with that. I don't know 100% about all those details. I remember talk about it, but I don't remember what actually shut the deal down. And like if that was all just ended up being speculation at the end of the day, if that's just hearsay, or if that was actually like a fact.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say. When something doesn't happen, we never know 100% until like somebody like 10 years later is like, fun fact, did you know we were about to like they did in the documentary, we tried to buy Nintendo, like early days of Xbox, and they were laughed out of the room, but that wouldn't surprise me. I mean, when they realized that Metal Gear was up for grabs and Konami, like, they weren't making games anymore, they're like, hey, let's go ahead and see if we can't get these guys. So it wouldn't surprise me at all. But now we kind of see like, Konami doesn't have much for first party development anymore. Utilizing third party developers to make their games is going to be a thing.
Kojima.
And maybe they ran off Kojima, so now they can have maybe Metal Gear and other games made by other, like Silent Hill, made by other devs. So maybe this is the start of Konami reestablishing themselves as a publisher with PlayStation's help funding them.
Maybe they've been kind of focused on more like, was it Plinko toys or whatever the hell they call them in Japan?
Yeah, the I want to say Pachinko.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's kind of what I think they've made like a shit ton of money off that. That's kind of what their main focus has been in the past few years.
Yeah, they do a lot more than just games, right? It's a very large company. So, Fuzzy, would you be excited for Silent Hill?
For Silent Hill, sure. With Bloober Team, definitely. It's weird because I remember hearing something along the lines like the guy that was doing the music score for Medium were saying, well, if you think some of these tones or sounds sound something similar to like a Silent Hill, just wait until our next act or so. It was something along those lines where they were dropping a few hints that, you know, their next project was going to be a Silent Hill. And it's good now to kind of get more of a, not really confirmation, but in a way a confirmation until they, you know, make an official announcement type of deal. But I think overall, it's time for people to kind of, I guess, buy up the IP or license the IP from Konami on a lot of their titles. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a Metal Gear and a Silent Hill announcement at Sony's what do you call them? You know, showcase if they have. Hopefully, they have one. You know, July or August or whenever type of deal. But I'm curious to see how Bloober does with that IP. Like I'm hoping that stays multiplat. Really enjoyed the Medium. Blair Witch was a little bit different than I expected after watching the movies. But then again, movies and the game equivalents don't have to always be the same. But yeah, I'd be curious to see what that looks like from Bloober because, like I said, I enjoyed the Medium. There was like a kind of like a near end spot that was a little slow, but the rest of it was pretty good in my opinion.
Yeah. And you, Jasper, Silent Hill fan or no?
I've never played them. I wanted to, but there's always something else out that I was like, oh, I'll just go play that instead. So
now
I'm interested in it. It's just
go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying I'm interested in Silent Hill. It's just I've always kind of skipped it.
Yeah. So what I would like to play is Kojima's vision of it, because the PT demo was insane, and I know it was maybe we didn't know like what was going to happen when the actual Silent Hill game came out, but it is a travesty. It is an absolute travesty that they had a falling out before we could see what their creation was going to be.
I think the direction in the horror genres kind of switched, though. It's more like those Outlasty kind of first person like handy cam games instead of like what it used to be like third person like running through hallways and shit.
Yeah, and in a way I like that because for a while it became more just action games, right?
Yeah.
And they went from like what you're talking about, those like third person, like you see your character kind of walk slowly through hallways and like kind of look out at the left. You had a lot of jump scares and stuff like that, tense moments, investigating, exploring, right? And then it went from like action because everybody's like, there's not enough action in these games. So they'll try to get more mass appeal. And Resident Evil kind of turned more into action games, and they had other horror franchises just completely disappear, like Silent Hill, right? And then now you got like once Resident Evil made that switch after like the success of some of these other games that had some of these indie games kind of transitioned. I think people are like, okay, we like what they're doing with some of these indie games, like so then you see Resident Evil do that with 7, reinvent the genre all over again, right? Then 8 was like in between. 8 was like action, but it had some elements from that still, you know, and like the mansion. So I don't know like where Silent Hill is gonna fall, but I do know that PT demo was like the scariest damn thing I've ever played before in my life.
The PT demo is great.
Yeah. It did. I mean, I guess you played it.
Baby in the Sink.
Yep. Yeah, I played it a couple times. I beat it, and the third or so time I played, there was like several different ghost encounters. Like sometimes she would follow you, and I think some people modded it so it's actually the ghost is following you the entire time. You just can't see her, so you always get that sense that something is theirs because something is there. Yeah, it is what Matt said, a travesty that they were never able to fulfill that game. Because if you think about it, PT started its own sort of subgenre of horror games, of like the hallway.
And it was a freaking demo, right?
Yeah, and it was just a demo. And there were games that was inspired by the demo and tried to do their own thing with it. So I could only imagine what they had planned with it with Guillermo del Toro, who he's just kind of unlucky. He's such a visionary with with a lot of his movies and projects, and they seem to always get canceled or something happens. If you guys don't know, Guillermo del Toro, he did the Hellboy movies, and he's a very good director. But he was also doing PT with Hideo Kojima.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited for Silent Hill to come back if that's the case. I think it would suck without Hideo Kojima. It's not gonna suck without him, but I think he really did add a lot just for the demo. So it is kind of sucky to not have him.
He kind of took a lot of those people though, and like just went and made Death Stranding. It's a different game, but he kind of took a lot of like the same people, and yeah,
take Norman Reedus.
Yeah, SOCOM, Pan's Labyrinth. He made that one that won an Oscar. Shape of Water.
Yeah, I think
something like that.
Shape of Water. Guillermo del Toro's like done a lot of stuff. He's really good. He also let's see, what else did he? I mean, he's doing a lot of cool shit. He recently had a zombie.
Oh yeah, Pacific Rim. He did Pacific Rim.
I think he had a zombie movie that hit on Netflix.
There's a lot of people think that's a good movie.
The first one was great. The first one was great. I love the first one. The second one,
and he only did the first one. So.
Right. Pan's Labyrinth. Yeah.
Pan's Labyrinth made me cry. That wasn't cool. I mean, it was a good movie. But
yeah, he's like behind the classic zombie movies too, isn't he? Like I'm thinking of the same guy. Like
no, you're thinking.
No, that's Guillermo del Toro. Yeah. Like, I'm pretty sure.
You said zombies.
Yeah.
Who am I thinking?
You're thinking of Romero or something.
Yeah,
right.
George Romero. That's the zombie.
Oh, Romero. Okay, yeah, I get them confused because they kind of look alike. Yeah.
I was like, that's a different person. I just couldn't think of his name.
Yeah, no, for sure. I do get them confused between each other because I think they look similar, like a little bit.
I think they do.
Now I gotta look at pictures to just make sure I'm not being an idiot.
I think he's a bigger guy, Romero. I haven't seen. I remember Romero had an older game on the Xbox years ago.
George Romero was in Call of Duty.
Oh, was he?
He's just in one of the zombie levels. He was.
Is he what? How I picture him? Is he like a bigger guy? He has like slick back hair, maybe glasses. That's how I picture him. I have no idea.
I mean, from his like George Romero is like, is gone now, right? I believe. Yeah, he died in 2007, 17 possibly. Is that when he
possibly?
Yeah, I'm trying to look up.
we don't know.
Oh, okay, yeah. George Romero died in July 16th of 2017. And they both had like the glasses and the beard, right?
Okay.
And so I'd always get them confused between each other for some reason, just because of the glasses and the beard thing. But yeah, Guillermo del Toro is like much younger, I think. He's only 57. Anyway, okay, yeah, and that's nerd ranting. I'm sorry, everybody.
Yeah, we have to figure that out.
Yeah, I don't like being wrong. I don't want to put up bad information, so I had to make sure. All right, guys. Well, I mean, I'm kind of excited for Silent Hill. Like, I never was super into it. I was more of a Resident Evil guy growing up. I did like some of the old ones on older PlayStation consoles. Shout out to the movie. It's actually one of the few good video game movies out there. If anybody hasn't seen the Silent Hill movie, I actually did enjoy that. It's not like highly rated or anything, but it's a pretty fun watch.
Jon Snow is in it, right?
I don't remember. I didn't know who Jon Snow was when I watched that movie. That that movie's been out for a long time now.
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
Silent Hill movie.
I want to welcome Fuzzy as the guest of Fun Pop today.
In 2006, it came out, and yeah, Jon Snow wasn't even like known then.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's in that movie.
It had Sean.
I just remember
he's not.
No,
but he might be in the sequel, Revelation.
Oh yeah, maybe it was a sequel.
Kit Harington, is in the sequel.
Yeah,
I've never seen the sequel.
I was close.
The sequel has a 4.9 on IMDb. and the
I
original
only
has a
seen the sequel.
6.5. So you watched the wrong damn movie, 3-bit. You need to go watch the
Yeah, I mean, he watched Titanic too, so we know he watched.
Oh my
the
God.
movie.
Wait, there's a
You guys didn't
Titanic
believe
too?
that
No, hold on,
Titanic 2
3-bit.
exists.
Oh my God, can we have this conversation, please? I'm afraid we'll lose our audience if we do. But 3-bit was trying to convince us that there was an actual sequel to the Titanic. I shit you not. Yes. And he was like, "Yeah, I watched it. It's not good. It's like, why would they make a remake? Or why would they make a sequel that's so bad? I don't understand." I'm like, "Dude, it's not a sequel. It's not an actual sequel. Somebody just made the name of a movie Titanic 2. Like, it has nothing to do with the actual Titanic movie." He's like, "Yeah, but it has Titanic in it and stuff." I'm like,
okay,
"The Titanic
let's be
sank at
fair.
the end of Titanic. It's not
Let's be fair. The movie
It's
is
a true
actually
story.
called Titanic 2, right? And it's literally about people rebuilding the first Titanic and getting into the same thing that happened. They crash into the iceberg and the whole thing happens all over again. You look it up. It's a really bad movie. It's not a sequel to Leonardo DiCaprio's Jack.
You
but
claim that it
is
was
a Titanic 2.
You're changing your stance now.
I am changing my stance.
Okay.
But
that just sounds like a bad idea for a movie.
It's one of those
like deja
it's like
vu,
a sci-fi
Groundhog's
TV
Day kind
yeah,
of.
it's like what's Sharknado type shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like one of those things, right? Except you can't, like, I guess, own the rights to Titanic
they
because
even
like
have the same
it's
font, like as the James Cameron. Oh no, they don't. Okay, I take it back. I thought they did, but still, who's gonna make? Why would you make another Titanic if you really think about it? Like, to me, that's just a dumb movie idea. And
To
why would
make
you
money
call it?
off
Some people say, why would you make another Fast and Furious? But
That's well, yeah.
no,
that's
but
fair.
I enjoy those films. But the Titanic too, that's just off the rails. Just
Let's crash to another iceberg. It's just wow. I can't believe I even watched that movie. Here's the thing. If people don't know me, I watch anything. I will literally watch any movie on Netflix, Hulu. I will go in a random section and just click play. And I stumbled upon Titanic 2 a while ago, and I'm like, is this real? And I start watching it, and yeah, it's real. That's good. Go check it out. Titanic 2. I get the 3-bit.
and it's not made by Guillermo del
seal of
Toro or
approval.
George Romero.
No, it's terrible.
All right,
I didn't say it'll be good.
All right, 3-bit. Where can everybody find you except for watching Titanic 2 after the show, or 3 if there's one?
Oh, I wonder if there's a 3. I'm gonna check that out later. Everyone can follow me on Twitter at i3bits. I'm on this show as well as Fun Pop and Ultimate when I can. I will be posting commercial work. I think the Holiday Inn commercial I worked on, it was a part of, is actually releasing tomorrow. So if you have ads, if you have the crappy version of Hulu, and you see a Holiday Inn commercial, then most likely I did something on it. So that was fun. It's a great show, chat. You've been awesome. I think we had a decent amount of people in here. You guys have had amazing conversations, and we've tried to pinpoint a lot of you guys. Like Dark Zone, for example, you had awesome things to say, and you corrected us a few times, so that was cool. You guys, everybody in chat, if we're wrong on something, I think it's good that you guys will say. We won't get offended. Like, if we know decent amount of things, but it's good for you guys to
Stop
correct
losing
us.
our credibility, 3-bit. Come on.
I mean, we know everything.
No,
No, it's been a good show, and thank you.
Right on, man. The always fuzzy Belvedere.
oh man, thank you guys for having me. Thank you for the chat and everybody that came out today. I was just thinking, Titanic 3, is that going to be on the moon or on Neptune or something?
It's going to be a PS
throw
Plus
it way
premium
out there.
exclusive.
A bigger iceberg.
It's episodic. Episodic.
All right. Well, normally you can find me on Twitter at fuzzy_Belvedere, but I'm probably going to just avoid Twitter for a little bit. Just
stay away from Twitter right now.
Too many fires.
Yeah, it's a lot going on.
Outside of that, you can find me on Breakfast with Boom on Friday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, on Xbox Ultimate at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. You can find me on the Shop Podcast on PTK Blam's channel at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Saturday. And once again, back here on Monday at 10 p.m. with this crew. My second family on FSP at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. It's awesome being here with you guys. Thank you so much.
Right on. And just in
Jasper's
time for his outro, Jasper's internet has disconnected, it seems. So I'm going to do his outro for him. Everybody check out Lore Master Jasper on his YouTube channel. You'll find the description below there. Find him on Twitter at Lore Jasper as well. And I hope you all have a fantastic day. Stay tuned for Fun Pop on Wednesday. We got PM in the PM on Thursday, Xbox Ultimate on Friday, and game streams throughout the week, and lots of fun here on Fun Speculation. Hope you have a good one. Take it easy, and thanks, chat. You rock. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Later.